Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Give me a Yahoo up in the chat if I can be heard, family. Bless up, bless up, bless up. All praises to the ever-present creator, the all in all, that always was, is, and ever shall be. The great spirit that I am, I bid you all, salute you all. In the name of the creator of all creation, the master of all light, the mighty Yahweh. Bless up, bless up. Good to see y'all in the building. I've been trying to get my camera situation together, man. Look like my camera crashed on my computer, so I'm gonna have to download a new camera. But I'm like, look, I ain't finna let that stop me from getting down. So shout out to everybody joining in. Look at my brother, Daryl Cosmine. Salute, gang. What's the word, brother? Peace to the God. My sister from Flow Rider, Mahalia Yasha'al. Bless up. Bless up, bless up. Yazir, MELCHIZEDEK. Bless up, bless up. Much love for Minneapolis. Y'all already know what time it is, man. Bless up. Essene Nazarene Faith is HICKMAN. Tap on in, King. Good to see y'all in the building. Y'all like, subscribe, share. You know. All that. My brother Dominique, light peace to the gang. Blessings, blessings. Y'all tapping in today. Key live. Olam Kazdo, the house of Troy Thomas in the building. Bless up. And may the ever-present creator comfort the spirit of your recently passed loved one, my sister. You understand? You know that system in order. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. You dig? So, yeah. May he rise in power. May he rise in power. And be a witness to everything the creator has for him. You dig? Y'all embrace again. Link right on up. All praise. Yeah. I see y'all in the building. Bless up. Fair use. Fair use, man. Fair use. All right. Yeah, I don't be wanting your brother to be dropping some of this stuff. I come out with certain things. They get the yanking cords and shutting the camera, shutting the whole video down. Like, what is y'all on? This is for educational and teaching purposes and entertainment only. That's what this is about, all right? So it is what it is. Under the Fair Use Act, we got a right to use any type of information for entertainment, education, to your benefit, all right? So fair use. Bless up. Prince Yehuda Von Jackson, Prince Zion in the building. Bless up, King. Bless up, King. Good to see you in the building, huh? Yeah. Good to see you in the building. Bless up, bless up. Imam Robbie Dobson. Bless up, Imam Robbie Dobson. Kanaya El Batya. Our beloved Elder Imam. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. And thank you for your many prayers and support. Blessings. Who else we got in the building? That's my bro right there. Okay. All right, so look, let me show some. You know, y'all know me. I like to share certain things, get the provoking thought. You know, other than that, it's a lot of low-hanging fruit on the internet. A lot of darkness being spewed. And it's like, I can't even listen to most of this stuff, man. Crazy. Love and light, gorgeously designed. My sis from Facebook, my sis from the North. Well, my sis be getting on these fumigate Negroes' minds, but she be getting on their nerves. I be sitting back laughing like she be, hey, you can't even get all that off with her. Period. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say keep your foot on the neck of these false gods, sis. You already know what time it is. You did. You been in the paint going hard. Shout out to young Malaki up there too. Tell him I said bless up. Bless up. Let me go ahead and share a little taste. Man. Bing. All right. Now let's go ahead and provoke some thought. That's what need to happen. You dig? Especially when you feel like everything's just been hunky-dory and it's starting to get boring. Like, hold on, man. Hell is really going on around there. All right. So let's go ahead and deal with this real quick. All right.
It's no secret that the God of the Bible has a darker side. Throughout the Old Testament, God is responsible for a whole slew of natural disasters, from erasing life on earth in a world-ending flood to unleashing devastating plagues of biblical proportions. Like it or not, God has a death toll. Question is, has anyone gone through the Bible and counted it? Armed with a calculator, a spreadsheet, and a King James version, I have done just that. I want to figure out how many people in the Bible can list God as a cause of death. Turns out, there is a precise number, and it's in the millions. It's a horrifying statistic, especially compared with Satan, who has a measly 10. But what does this mean? What's the explanation behind this figure? All this and more as we unravel God's biblical kill count. Our search begins in the Old Testament, the section of the Bible that covers the history of Israel. Within these pages, you're never too far away from a biblical disaster, like when God engulfs an entire city in flames. This violent depiction of God has always fascinated me. It's so different to the peaceful God of the New Testament. I want to find an explanation for this behavior, one that's rooted in the history of this book. But to know what we're dealing with, we need some numbers. How many people does God actually kill in the Bible? So I opened up a copy and began counting. It felt like going through a celebrity's Twitter feed and finding some unsavory things from the past. But instead of old tweets, it was the Old Testament. Here are some examples of what I found. And fire came out from the Lord and consumed 250 men. Then the Lord sent poisonous serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many Israelites died. At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. I collected them into a single spreadsheet. This vast document records God's biblical death count. Each entry has a brief description and a corresponding biblical verse. I'm not the first to attempt this, by the way. I've relied at times on the work of Steve Wells, an author whose book and website contain a meticulously thorough list. In the Bible, deaths caused by God fall into two categories. One with exact numbers and one without numbers at all. I'll start my search in the parts where the Bible gives precise figures. Some of these biblical outbursts incur a very high death toll indeed, like when 50,070 men are pulverized for glimpsing inside the Ark of the Covenant. But that's nothing compared to the time when God sends an angel to wipe out 185,000 soldiers in one night. It's nice to see a Bible-accurate angel in its natural habitat. Other incidents are plain strange. In one story, a group of boys tease the prophet Elisha for being bald. They say, and I'm directly quoting here, "Go away, bald head. Go away, bald head." Upset by these hurtful comments, the prophet calls upon God to teach the boys some manners. Suddenly, a pack of bears appear to eat 42 of them. I'm still not sure what the moral to this tale is. Don't tease bald people? The numbers keep adding up, and the total gets larger and larger. If you add up all deaths that the Bible attributes to God, you arrive at 2,559,449. 2.5 million. Compare that with the 10 deaths attributed to Satan. An overwhelming majority comes from the Old Testament. There are only 4 God-related deaths from the New Testament. It's a big statistic for sure, but we're not even close to the real figure. So far, we've only counted deaths where the Bible gives an exact number. We haven't added up the parts where no number is given. For example, how many people is a city or an army? 1,000? 10,000? The best we can do is use historical estimates and rely on educated guesswork. Adding them all up, the number now jumps to 4,681,116. Ouch! But there's one more event we haven't yet factored in. The Great Flood in the book of Genesis. The cataclysmic event where God decides to drown everything underwater, sparing Noah and his ark full of animals. Using the internal dating of the Bible, the year of the flood would have been 2348 BC. All we need to do now is figure out what Earth's human population would have been. Historical estimates range from 14 million to 27 million. I'm going to settle somewhere in the middle and say 20 million. Adding this to the count, we arrive at the final number. Ready for it? God's biblical kill count, including the flood and other estimates, is 24,681,116. This is an eye-watering number. To put that into context, that's approximately 34 HOCHLAGERs. Maybe subscriber count is not a helpful metric. God's divine death toll is a statistic that some would rather not know. But again, it's using data gathered from the Bible itself. Even if we remove the flood and the various estimations, adding up the exact numbers the Bible gives us is still in the millions. So why is God's biblical kill count so high? And what does this say about God? This is a really difficult conundrum in the field of biblical studies. It's also an uncomfortable truth that's kept religious thinkers occupied. In fact, this debate goes back to the dawn of Christianity itself. In 144 AD, a Christian thinker called Marcion had an idea. What if there are two gods? A vengeful God of the Old Testament and a loving God of the New Testament. Marcionism, as it came to be known, was a popular theory in its day. Having two gods explained why there's such a discrepancy between the two opposite depictions of him. But Marcion and his two gods theory was swiftly denounced as one of the very first Christian heresies. His critics accused him of cherry-picking. You can't just remove the bits you don't like. Plus, isn't there supposed to be one God? Like it or not, the Old Testament God is here to stay. So, how else have people attempted to explain his death toll? There are plenty of religious and theological explanations for God's biblical kill count. But I think the one rooted in history is the most satisfying. To understand God in the Old Testament, you have to understand the world the Old Testament came from. To the ancient Hebrews living in 500 BC, God was depicted as a great king, ruling creation from his celestial throne in the sky. Now, an ancient king does two things. The first is to uphold the law. The Old Testament is full of sacred rules. There are 613 of them. Like, don't worship false idols, and keep the Sabbath day holy. A lot of deaths in the Old Testament are because people break God's rules. Worshipping a golden calf, zap. Collecting wood on the Sabbath day, zap. Opening the Ark of the Covenant, mega zap. In every instance, people are told not to, but they do it anyway. The death penalty may seem harsh, but those are the rules. Disobey a divine law and expect a divine punishment. An eye for an eye, as the biblical saying goes. A saying, incidentally, that's been borrowed from King Hammurabi's Code, a collection of Babylonian laws that predate the Bible considerably. Like any good Mesopotamian king, the God of the Old Testament was a divine rule maker. Judge, jury, and executioner too. But maintaining law and order is only half of a king's duties. What else does an ancient ruler do? He goes to war. A large proportion of God's biblical deaths are connected to warfare, whether that be granting Israelites victory in battle or using superpowered angels to demolish enemy armies. Similar to the deities of neighboring societies, the biblical God was viewed as the protector of a nation, and so was often described as a warrior. In fact, one of the oldest bits in the Bible, the Song of Moses, is a poem praising God's military might. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he cast into the ocean. His chosen officers were sunk in the Red Sea. It's the closest thing you get to biblical heavy metal. The writers behind the Old Testament wanted to describe God as a powerful king. A king who upholds the law and ensures success on the battlefield. It's a gruesome affair. But hey, who said being a king was easy? Compared with other ancient deities, the biblical God is a pretty nice guy. Take the flood story. At least God is described as regretting his decision. In another version of this ancient myth, the Epic of Atrahasis, the reason why the gods drown humankind is for partying too loud. Centuries later, when the New Testament writings came along, Christian writers no longer used words like judge and warrior to describe their God. Instead, they used words like father. Now, fathers don't execute their subordinates. they forgive them, which is why forgiveness and grace are such big themes in Christianity. That's why God's biblical kill count feels so jarring. This gigantic statistic is a hang-up from the Old Testament. These ancient Hebrew writers pictured God in a very different way than we do today. To them, death was simply part and parcel of being a god. Combing through the Bible and calculating God's death toll culminates with a frightening number. It can be quite hard to make sense of. I'm not religious myself, so I find historical explanations like these the most helpful. It's one of those head-scratching questions that have kept people busy, and probably will do for centuries to come. Hey, thanks for watching. I had a great time making this, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you liked this video and want to see more, why not subscribe? A like and a comment also go a really long way. Oh, and do check out the channel's merch over at Crowdmade. We have beanies, t-shirts and hoodies. Links are in the description.
Oh, wee, mic check, mic check. Y'all know your bro always had to get some thought. Always had to get some provoking thought going. You feel me? Yeah. What are your thoughts on that one though? Good night, boy. You think? I think it said that Satan himself had 10 bodies, but God had like almost like 250,000. Good night, boy. What y'all thoughts on that? Go ahead and leave that in the chat. Bless up, bless up. Y'all see we got up on the board today, the Book of Divinity, System and Order of the Spirit World, Part 4. We've been cooking with the vortex, baby. All praises to the Most High Creator, the ever-present, the all-in-all, that always was, is, and never shall be. A double salute and honor to all the prophets of old who came teaching that line of light. You understand? And even put their life on the line to make sure that light shine. You feel me? Fast forward all the way to today's time, and you look up and you see brothers and sisters shining that light. So we ain't doing nothing but what those that came before us, that's down what the Creator was doing. You feel me? So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of thought-provoking energy. It's gonna be a lot of people getting offended. It's gonna be a lot of people foaming at the mouth, but they be all right. But there's gonna be a lot of people inspired. There's gonna be a lot of people like, dang, I knew something was up. I always felt that. You feel me? That's who we do it for. So we ain't tripping off Nam, fumigating at the mouth Negro, Nam, N-A-M, Nam, slanderous jaw Negro who got a problem with what we talking about. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, especially in this hour of darkness, man. Like, do you see what's going on in Israel? Do you see the topics and the doctrines that's on the table? We got rape. We got what else niggas talking about? We got rape. We got infant killing. We got what else? Woman mutilation. And man, a gang of other stuff, fringes. And if you ain't got on fringes, you ain't it's a whole bunch of crazy, but none of it has to do with spiritual progression. None of it has to do with growing your spirit. None of it. You know what I mean? It's just more rituals and more ceremonies. You dig? And if that's not the Creator you dealing with and rocking with, then these are ceremonies to entrap your soul. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, man. I think my camera is I need to download a new camera or something, man. My camera, I went to my settings and everything. The whole camera vanished. What the hell's going on? But it's all good, man. The Creator's truly, truly marvelous. They did. So look, y'all know we've been in that Book of Divinity lately. We've been in that Book of Divinity going in, and we talking about system and order of the spirit world. Why is this important? Because trip off this, that's where we going. Who embarks on a trip but don't got no itinerary? Talk to me. Who embarks on a trip but you like, okay, we about to go to Disney World. What y'all gonna do when y'all get there? Shit, we don't even know. Right? And being that the what we call the afterlife or life after death or whatever we call it, right? Being we all gotta cross that threshold. Why is it that every spiritual text, quote unquote, is vague when it comes to what you are going to be doing once you cross over? Like when you get to where we all going, what we gonna be doing? All right, say you make it into heaven. Say you make it into what they call the New Jerusalem, into the gates. What are you gonna be doing? Like for the first 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 50 years, 100. After all, it is eternity, right? So what you gonna be doing? What does it say? Do you see your loved ones again? Like, is it? And then you start realizing, like, dang, man, like what it is that I'm out here condemning folks over and all that. I really don't know what the hell going on. Because if somebody asks me right now, what are we going to be doing when we cross over? You dig? You know, chapter and verse me though. Like, I'm trying to understand what's going on. What is the order? What is the system? It got to be something. Just like when you came here, it was already a system and order in place for you. So why wouldn't it be there? I thought it was as above, so below. You see? So look, trip off the number of false deities and gods that ran on humanity. Ask a devout whoever, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, those is into ancestor worship, and ask them all. You know, and you know, while you're having your cup of Joe and you know you chopping it up about what you're chopping it up, ask them like, hey, what are we going to be doing? Like, you know, in heaven, according to what it is you believe and talk about. You feel me? According to your text, though. You dig? And watch how many people really ain't got no answer for you. And if they do get into the text, it's gonna be real vague. Now I ain't look, I'm talking about Bible, Quran, I'm talking about the Egyptian literature, I'm talking about the Greek mythology, I'm talking about the ancestor worship and you know, whatever you talking about. Chinese philosophies and all that, the many different spiritual systems, but can't name one really tell you about what you're gonna be doing in when you get to the spirit world. Ain't nobody talking about that. That's why you got all this low-hanging fruit out here. Because the gods that inspired the brothers and the sisters, you know what I mean? They slow gas, they low-hanging fruit. You've been kept dumb, deaf, dumb, and blind. You know what I mean? By higher deities, but they're false deities, false gods. They're not down with the creator. They've been pump faking. They've been pump faking. You feel me? So for any of y'all that's like new to what we talking about, look, let me show y'all something just real quick. Peace and blessings to everybody joining in this deal. Bless up, creator gang in the building. Bless up, bless up. This is what we dealing with right here. All right. That's what we dealing with. Some marvelous work. Marvelous work. Yeah, they got a lot of these false gods. I always remember this: hit dogs holler. How is it we bring out some information? They got everybody fumigating at the mouth, but now one of these rebellious jacks are, you know, crack the book open and get into it. Like I'm talking about really getting to it, get some understanding. So we coming out of OSP. OSP means sky, earth, and spirit. All right, now what is it? It's a practical. What does practical mean? Something you can put into practice. Meaning it ain't just talking at you. You feel me? It ain't just talking at you like you do this or else. Right? What you about to learn is something you can put into everyday practice. Right? And that practice prepares you for your destination where we all going. You know what I mean? Like we truly got an advantage for real. You understand? It's just time to unhinge that light. So, but OSP or Sky Earth Spirit is a practical guidebook to the what? The spiritual life. Something you can practically apply today, right now, no matter what position you in, no matter your racial proclivity, no matter your economic situation, no matter your financial situation, no matter if you male, female, it don't even matter. Benefit, headshot, body blow. Look at that. Practical guidebook to the spiritual life. And if you say, no, it ain't. You dig? Well, all right, well, you go show us a practical guidebook to the spiritual life. And give us a blow-by-blow detail of what's going on. Look at this. You have a corporeal or a physical body and a spiritual body. Hear me and I will open your understanding. I come to free not only the physical, the corporeal man, but the spiritual man. So we dealing with states of bondage. First thing on the table is, look, your creator is against bondage, is against slavery. Whew. Headshot, body blow. Your creator is against slavery on every level. So you want to talk about the spiritual bondage or the spiritual enslavement, you dig, to the false deities and gods. We rather just talk about the white man. You want to talk about who's inspiring them. You dig? And what we need to do to start being victorious in this madness. You don't want to talk about the false gods that's inspiring all these devils all over this earth. You dig? We ain't gonna get on her and front like it's like the spirit is limited to color or concentrated forms of melanin. Because if you grew up around us, 9 out of 10 of your enemies look just like you. Now, we're not gonna get on her and pump fake and play around with you. You feel me? We're not dealing with the low-hanging fruit of racism. Yeah, we can talk about it. Matter of fact, we got a solution for it. We know how to defeat white supremacy over this way. But we ain't finna be, just stirring up your emotion and get you to, go out there and grab your little chop or whatever and go kill the first white person you see. Nah, we ain't getting down like that. You know what I mean? Nah, we here to bring the light and bring the freedom and the liberty on all levels. You hear that? You feel that? How liberating is that? You feel all that pressure getting up off of you? Look at this. Yet with your freedom, you also attain to responsibility. So you want free will, but you know what I mean? The Negro don't want no responsibility behind it. Not just the Negro, mankind, period. You don't want to be responsible. Like the creator, like, I give you free will. I give you your desire. Just know what you spill, you got to clean that up. You got liberty to do whatever you want. Just know when you jammed up, you got to clean that up, Jack. Look at this. Yet with your freedom, you also attain to responsibility. So that sooner or later, now or then, sooner or later, your fidelity to your creator and to your fellow man in righteousness, love, and good works shall become the most sacred study of your life. Bag drop. Oh, wait. You get, all right, so what's wrong? I'm still waiting to hear somebody come with some type of, like, come on with this. Because over here, man, I mean, no bragging, but we dealing with higher fruit, man. We are. Would you want me to act like we not? I'll be lying. This is higher information than your usual huddles of religious jargon. It's higher. It's practical. You can apply it every day and see creator work in your life in real time every day. It's truly marvelous. Truly marvelous. Look at this right here. So you see what the most sacred study in your life is. Fidelity to your creator and your fellow man in righteousness, love, and good works shall become the most sacred study of your life. Your God does not come. Your God does not come in this era. Today's time, y'all. In this era as a dictator. Thus saith the... Nah. But as your elder brethren, your brother. God is the brother, not the father. Whew. Headshot. Body blow. You don't think that's a benefit? You don't think you need to know the difference between your father and your brother? Try to pull that off with Pops. You better believe I know the difference between my father and my brother. You crazy as hell. You better know. Yeah. You can't try Pop like you try bruh and them. You know what I mean? But now God is the brother for y'all that's just tapping in. that don't understand what we talking about, like it's not resonating because you ain't vibrating at a higher grade. What we're saying is real simple. Slow down and hear us. Stop beating the air. You over there shadow boxing like you hitting something, making all the noises. Boy, you punching air. God is the brother. God is not the father. And if God is the brother of one-time man, who you been praying to? Your God is not coming this era as a dictator, but as your elder brother with ample experience. Nor do I command saying you shall believe, because I, your God, have said it or revealed it in this book. Ain't nobody telling you to believe nothing. You can easily just keep it pushing. You ain't got to stop and listen to what we talking about. And trip off this. Over this way, you ain't commanded to believe nothing nobody talking about until you prove it yourself. That way you know a thing. Ooh-wee. Now you run around here slobbing at the mouth and drooling at the mouth over belief. You don't realize how silly we sound, man. We sound like kindergartners. Yeah, Kenny. Sound like kindergartners around here, man. Niggas over here killing each other and arguing over a belief. Ain't nobody telling you about what they know, though. No, I don't believe nothing that come out of nowhere. This book, nothing until you prove it. Nevertheless, through OSP, light of the creator, Jehovah, the creator, is revealed to man. And man is to what? Judge himself. And work, labor to save himself. So that by this, he may have honor and glory. Headshot, body blow, huh? Nothing wrong with you having honor and glory. You're just not to be worshipped. Nothing wrong with celebrating your children. That's a very quick way to raise their grade and their self-confidence, might I add. Nothing wrong with you celebrating and, you know what I mean? Celebrating life and enjoying yourself, man. Enjoying your accomplishments and your graduations and your advancements and your promotions. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. You know what I mean? Religion had you thinking you ain't supposed to do none of that, man. Look, you better enjoy yourself, right? Nothing wrong with having honor and glory. You're just not to be worshipped. You hear that? You see that? Real talk. Look at this. For the will of the creator is not for man to be forever led. Yeah, boy, you can't be in sippy cup status your whole life. Like, eventually you got to put your big boy boots on and, you know what I mean, tighten your belt up, pull your pants up, and handle up like a man. You can't be in sippy cup status your whole life, man. And life shows you that. You go from a child to somebody, an adult with responsibility. See, real time. What you go through in real time, you know what I mean? All that's inspired from and through the creator. For the will of the creator is not for man to be forever led, but for man to ultimately have the light, and a knowledge, and a wisdom of practicing good works organically, not GMO. Real good works. Nothing GMO. Sincerity, right? From infancy up, from a short legger and a short runner, all the way up until you transition. You supposed to have a light of practicing good works. Nothing evil. And it's real easy to understand. What is OSP? It's a primary. You're talking about a primary source. Meaning it didn't come from a third, second, and first removed witness. It was directly from the spirit world right to who transmitted it. By the way, the guy that it came through don't even take credit for it. Trip off that. That's like George Lucas not taking credit for Star Wars. This nigga even denied writing it. Like, I ain't write that. Who is a primary source. And what is it for? What is the reason? See, everything that you read, there's a reason for writing this book. Authorized you write the book for the spiritual and practical. For the spiritual and practical enlightenment. Not gross darkness. This is for the spiritual and practical enlightenment. Again, practical, something you can put into practice right now. You can work on your enlightenment and your salvation and raising your spiritual grade right now in today's time, no matter what position you in. Makes sense. Makes sense. No matter your racial proclivity, no matter your financial situation, no matter your sex, don't matter. We see what it is. Practicing the light of good works organically from an infancy up. And this is for the spiritual and practical enlightenment and what development? Practical enlightenment and development. Of individuals, groups, and humanity for their glory and happiness. See, y'all benefit, headshot, body blow. All you benefits, man. And for the glory of who? The whole. In the words of the Creator and his angel ambassadors. Being a Cosmon Bible, what does it contain? A history of the dominions of the higher and lower heavens on the earth for the past 25,000 years. Headshot. Hold on, y'all. Every Bible chronology or anybody who's into studying the timeline of the Bible tell you that creation started in 3761 BC, y'all. According to the Hebrew calendar, you were in the year 5783 for a couple more weeks. And then it'd be 5784. And that's since the world was created. Since Adam. It ain't even been 6,000 years according to biblical timeline. So you see the benefit, what we talking about? We talking about for the past 25,000 years and further. Look at this. Being from the submersion of the continent of Pan in the Pacific Ocean. Commonly called the flood of deluge to the Cosmon era of the present time. Also, a brief history of the preceding years from man's beginning on earth to the flood, together with a synopsis of the cosmogony of the universe, body blow, the creation of planets, headshot, the creation of man, the unseen worlds, the work or the labor and glory of gods and goddesses. Shout out to the sisters. You know what I mean? A god ain't nothing but an immortal man. A goddess ain't nothing but an immortal woman. Man is a mortal god. Woman is a mortal goddess. See how that works? Right? But these gods and goddesses have never worshipped and praised. They're just your big brothers and sisters, one-time living individuals on this world or some other world who has crossed over, you know what I mean, and rose to the rank of a god or a goddess, son or daughter of the Creator. See how easy that is? So don't spill your coffee because you see gods and goddesses. Yes, there are female angels. They're called goddesses if they reach that type of rank. You know what I mean? Yes, there are female angels. Why? And think about it. Think about it. What do your mothers and sisters and wives and daughters become when they die? Male angels? Make it make sense. Why wouldn't it be female angels? There are females in the flesh, right? Oh, we. All right, the labor and glory of gods and goddesses in the heavens of the earth and in the ethereal heavens above them. You see? And it goes on even more. But yeah, that's basically what we've been reading, getting to this. It's some heavy information. Heavy information, I must say. All right. Heavy information. Let me put it on entire screen though, so I'm sharing a few things. All right, let's get into this. I also want to go show y'all. We also got to get into, let me do the entire screen. All right, we also got to set the record straight dealing with the distinction between the Creator and God. All right. I'm gonna start doing it every time I come on. Let's go ahead and just make it, that way you understand if you tapping in what we talking about. All right. Same book of OSP, but this is the book of discipline and knows what it says. God reveals who he is. All right. God reveals who he is. Yeah. Bang, bang, bang. Let me check the chat. Everybody good? Bang, bang, bang. Cal P in the building. Bless up. Bronze Yoga in the building. Bless up. Y'all go like, subscribe, and share it to the bros, man. Cosmon Cal TV. Bronze Yoga in the building. Sila Shalom. Ahuba Lifestyle. Like, we in the building. Create a gang in the building. Daryl Cosmon on Facebook. Y'all tap in. Intuitive Goat. Tap in. That's Sister LaFay in the building. My sister. Bruh, Caleb, what's the word, HICKMAN? Shalom. So God reveals who he is, right? This is the word from the organic heaven. Hear the word again. No GMO heaven. This is the word from the organic heaven. Hear the words of your God, oh man. I am your brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. Prophet in my wisdom and be admonished by my love. So again, God is the brother, not the father. The father is the creator. God all through YHWH'S tell you, I'm just big brother. Oh, I don't want your worship. I don't want your praise. You dig? I just want your brotherhood. Because those that's high raised and those that have raised up and crossed over, you understand? Guess who take their place when they get a chance to graduate and resurrect the higher realities of the Creator's creation? You do. Those underneath them get to take their place. It's a whole system in order, man. That's where do you think your graduation ceremonies get inspired from? That's graduation in the heavens. That's further advancement. Everything you got going on earth is inspired by what's unseen. Not vice versa. You ain't influencing nothing in heaven. Nothing. You dig? Man is inspired by what, or man is propelled or influenced by what he can't see. So that's why you got graduation ceremonies and wedding ceremonies and funeral processions and baptismal rites. And, you know what I mean? Man is inspired, you know what I mean? Governments and legislation and Congress and parliaments. And you understand? Man is inspired by what he can't see. Man is inspired by the heavenly kingdoms, right? Whether they the right ones or whether they with the creator or not, man is inspired. You see that? So God is telling you, you dig? I'm your brother. Look at this, verse 3. For as I am your elder brother, so shall it be with you, to rise also in time to come and look back to mortals and call them to the exalted heavens of the Almighty. So you see what big bro, see what God tell you. What I'm doing, you gonna be doing one day. So when you hear us say peace to the God and peace to the goddesses, we ain't on no idolatry. For one, none of us over here worship a God, period. I know that hurt. None of us worship a God. We're servants of the creator, the ever-present creator, the all in all, the always was, is, and never shall be, the great spirit, the I am that I am. We're in service to the creator. And guess how you serve the creator? By righteous works in love, wisdom, and righteousness done unto others. You serve your creator by serving his creation in righteous work. See how easy that is? Ooh, I know somebody, man. Y'all get some understanding so far. Give me a 9 up in the chat. You understand? Bless up, bless up. Easy work, man. We slow down on you. We'll slow down and cook with the vortex. This is easy work. Y'all not doing nothing that's, you know, I mean, it really ain't no comp. Ain't nobody really coming with no light. And if they are coming up, you know, coming out of some understanding that's higher than just, you know, orthodoxy or orthodox, it's still scattered and vague. Like, for example, most of y'all done read the Urantia book. You know what I mean? Even though it's vast, it's still vague. If, like, you know, it's vast. There's a lot of information in it, but it don't hit. It don't hit nowhere close to YHWH's at all. YHWH's so deep, it's simple, easy to understand, but beyond deep, man. The light in it is so evident, it's crazy. You see that? Look at this right here. For as I am your elder brother, so shall it be with you to rise also in time to come and look back to mortals and call them to the exalted heavens of the Almighty, to the Creator. You see what God is doing? God is giving homage to the Creator. Praise to the Creator, to Jehovah, all adoration and glory forever. You show me in your religious text where your God is praising the Creator or giving all adoration to Creator. This chapter and verse. And trip up the title of God or the name God. We use it so loosely today. So loosely. Think about it. We walk around and say, God bless you. You know what I mean? Oh my God. You never ask yourself, what now who came up with all that? Like, I know the Hebrew word for God is El or Elohim and all that, but man, it's in your Bible. I typed in God. I think I typed in Lord yesterday on the Bible app. Man, that sucker in there over 7,000 times. Well, who the hell made that decision? Like, who said, all right, well, we ain't going to say Jehovah or Yahweh or none of that, or whatever name niggas is fighting over today. We going to replace that with not just Lord, y'all, the Lord. All caps. Or the Lord, thy God. And you look up and it's used so vaguely. Like, what does you mean? Like, what you mean by God bless you? Like, see, over here we make a differentiation. We make a distinction between the Creator and God, the Creator and a goddess, the Creator and a Lord. You feel me? We make a distinction over this way. That way it won't be confusing to you. Like, who's you talking about? Is the Creator God, Lord God, or Lord? You see? Clarity. You hear that? You feel that? Look at this. To the Creator, all adoration and glory forever. Ah, man, absolutely. All life, motion, power, and things seen and unseen are by and through Him. See, that's what we talking about, y'all. Headshot. We talking about the Creator. We don't worship a God. Boy, that about made somebody blow all their drawers out when they hear you say that. Dang, hold on, niggas, you atheist? Hell no, I ain't no atheist. I just don't worship a God or a Lord. I just slapped your spirit all upside his face. Now you got to try to formulate something and respond, but you can't for real. You feel me? The confusion starts setting in. Like Sarnetta had Bakwash the other day. He had the Bakwash stuttering like stuttering Stanley. It was embarrassing. And that Bakwash OG, he OG Israelite. 14th Street Israelites Bakwash them. That boy is 57 years old. 30 plus years talking Israelite, man. And Sarnetta had Bakwash. I'm talking about stuttering. Good night, boy. And it was even more evident to me then, man. He been in service to a false god this whole time. How the hell can somebody like Sarnetta, who don't even, you understand? Like, he ain't believing nothing about nothing. He kind of go high. He kind of go with the wind. And how the hell do he got you, boy? You a 35-year vet in this. He got you stuttering. Good night. All life, motion, power, and things seen and unseen are by and through him. Neither is there an angel in heaven so high, nor sufficiently wise to comprehend the Creator in his entirety. Yeah, nor to see him. Nor to see him as you see your fellow man. Sit your monkey ass down. I thought you said your God was a man of war. I thought you said Moses saw his ass, his backside. You got a certain thing. You got to get that out the streets now. Because the whole time you was thinking Moses singing the God in a hospital gown was the Creator. You were thinking this whole time. The one Moses was talking to was the creator of all gods, including the one you worship. And you was thinking this whole time, dang, Moses saw God's backside. Like he had a hospital gown on. You know what I mean? And you got to really slow down and ask yourself, hold on. I'm being played with around here. Is the creator ever present or not? And if he is, then you can't point to no one local spot and say that's where you at. Creator ever present. The creator is everywhere. You never see creators, you see your fellow man. So whatever man or angel you thought you saw and your knees got the knocking like a naked newborn. And you put your nose in the dirt. That wasn't the creator. You've been played by a false god. Look at this. For he is within all. Creators everywhere, y'all. For he is within all, beyond and over all, being ever present in all places. So no, he ain't. When you ask somebody, so where God is, he on his throne. And again, they think God is the creator. You ask somebody, what the creator? He on his throne. Nah. Hey, trip out this. His son, you know what I mean? Because God sits on the throne, but that throne is the creator's throne. But remember, God is a one-time man. He builds a throne. God builds a throne and calls it the creator's throne. So he don't get worshipped, right? And he sit on it, right? And then the light of the creator come upon him and speak through him. But the one sitting on the throne is not the creator. For he is within all, beyond and over all, being ever present in all places, doing by virtue of his presence. And there you go, talking about natural law and the law of this and the law of that, the law of gravity, the law of relativity, the law of. Now, how about it crack off because he's ever present? That's why. That's why the birds know to fly south. That's why the birds know to hibernate. That's why the sun do what it does and the moon function how it functions, because of the ever presence, because of the virtue of the creator's presence. Pop off because he's there. Quickening all the living, adorable above all things. As the sun is to the light of day, so is the creator to the understanding of all the living. Headshot. So now you got something you can compare it to. Daylight needs the sun. As the sun is to the light of day, so is the creator to the understanding of all the living. Your understanding needs the creator like the light of day needs the sun. Now you can go meditate on that and say, okay. And that's where the increase comes. After you finish taking in this food today, now you got to reflect over it or meditate, contemplate. And then you start applying it on so many different levels, and it opens up. See, that's what you need. You need something that you can understand to vibrate faster and higher. You got to have something that's easy to understand. You feel me? That apply them spiritual jewels and principles you need to elevate. But it got to be easily understood. Why I got to, And then you be thinking that most of these cats are the groovy guru because they sound like an encyclopedia, and they running off, shooting off big words, but they really don't understand what they're talking about. You really understand it if you can explain it to me in simple terms. You know what I mean? You got to be able to break it down. Yeah, you really, like, you may know how to trip off this dealing with cars, right? You may know how to change your oil, and your oil filter, but that don't make you a mechanic, do it? You a mechanic when you can break an engine down to its bare components and put that sucker back together. The most complex ideals are able to be broken down into simple understandings that a child can understand it and grasp it. So in that essence, what's complex is really simple. And that's why it makes sense. YHWH'S is the deepest understanding I've ever come across, but yet it's so simple to understand. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? You see that? As the sun is to the light of day, so is the creator to the understanding of all the living. Upon which to contemplate is the road of everlasting life. Meditate on that. The light of day needs the sun. Your understanding needs the creator. And if you meditate on that, that's the road of everlasting life. Yeah. Rising in wisdom, love, and power forever. Now it's telling you what to meditate on. Go meditate on that. Go under, trip off how the light of day needs the sun, or the day needs the sun, right? Well, dang, okay, like the day needs the sun, my understanding needs the creator. And just meditate on that. You dig? Now you on the road to everlasting life. Rising in what? Wisdom, love, and power forever. Look at this. Hear your God, oh man. Hear your God, oh man, and distinguish. You got to tell the difference, y'all. And distinguish then that the two, God and the creator, God and Jehovah are not the same one. Nor is your God more than what you shall be in time to come. Body blow, you hear that? Salute to God. Salute the goddesses, because that's what we all gonna be in time to come. Yeah. God is just a one-time man. That's it. An immortal man that's becoming more and more advanced and, more and more highly evolved and more higher training and all that. But nonetheless, birth of a man and a woman. So trip off that. Now you understand headshot. That's a benefit. You need to know there's a difference. God and Jehovah, or God and Yahweh, or God and the Creator are not the same one. Nor is your God more than what you shall be in time to come. Headshot. Look at this. First mortality, right? Then death, which is the first resurrection. Now you know what that is. Because everybody partakes in that one, right? Such are the spirits of what? The dead. Angels dwelling with mortals upon the earth, where they abide some a few years, some for 100, some for 1,000 or more years. So the angels that stuck or bound to the first resurrection are bound on the earth. So now you know where all your paranormal activity come from, your ghost hunters. Those are angels of the first resurrection. See? Now it makes sense that, you got shows again like Ghost Hunters and Paranormal Activities and stuff like Stranger Things. And yeah. There's a whole world you can't see because it's just vibrating outside of visible light. That's it. All right. That's why every once in a while you can see a spirit, you can see a ghost or something like that, because it slowed its vibratory rate down within a certain range to where you can see it with your physical eye. You know what I mean? Because you can see light. It's physical light. You dig? But if it's vibrating faster than visible light, then you can't see it. It's invisible. You see? So all the spirits of the first resurrection are spirits who are still here on earth. Still here on earth. Second, right? Second, angel organization in heaven and their abandonment of mortals, which is the second resurrection. So you see, like that's an example. That's really a macro, a larger example of what we supposed to be doing on the earth, right? Angel organization or human organization, mankind organization, right? We're supposed to be living in communities and sharing resources. You feel me? Why? Because that's how the angels of the second resurrection and higher move. Organizations, really brotherhoods, you know what I mean? Really ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing. The trip about this, y'all. The gangs got it right. It's just they dealing with the dark side of it. You know what I mean? The fraternities and sororities, they got it right. They just dealing with the dark side of it. You know what I mean? The brotherhoods or the gangs and all that is how the angels move out. Those that roll with the creator. You know what I mean? So they organize. So this is not an individual thing. They come mob deep. Thousands on you. Sometimes millions. You know what I mean? So how the angels move in the heavens, we supposed to move on the earth. And they're in communities. They're organized. You understand? They training, they raising up, they loving their neighbors, they self. They're inspiring mortals to righteousness. You see what I'm saying? A part of the second resurrection is organizing and abandonment of mortals. You know what I mean? Or abandonment of earthly desires. That's the second resurrection. You see that? As a kingdom on earth has a king, and the king is nevertheless immortal. So in like manner is the heavenly place of your God. The heavenly place of your God, a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God, an angel also. Bag drop. Y'all heard that? So how you see is a kingdom has a king. Well, there's heavenly kingdoms, and guess who's chief over them? God. But God is an angel also. Ooh wee. Ooh wee. An angel is just a one-time man. Now you get an understanding. You know what I mean? Now you get an understanding. Yet nevertheless, the kingdom of your God embraces all the heavens of the earth. And it is also so with all physical worlds, all corporeal worlds. It's not my fault you think it's just the earth out here. It's not my fault. You dig? When I tell you that the false deities and gods have hoodwinked us on every level, Jack, you've been hoodwinked. You've been hoodwinked. You know what I mean? It ain't just the earth out here, and the earth ain't a frisbee. Niggas think the earth a damn frisbee, man. Like just a saucer, damn plate, a dinner plate just floating in space by itself. Man, God embraces all the heavens of the earth, and it is also so with all physical worlds and their atmosphere in heavens. A God and organic heavens belonging to each and all of them. So there are countless of worlds, and over all these countless of worlds, there's a God. There are heavens surrounding it, or an atmosphere, and there's a God over the heavenly kingdoms in that atmosphere. A God or a goddess, son or daughter of the Creator. They have been called on by the Creator to manage some worlds for the next 400 years. You dig? And then they have a whole graduation ceremony. They get up out of there into the next gods and all them. You know what I mean? That's how that works, right? So all the physical worlds that got life on them, right? In the atmosphere surrounding those worlds, there's a God in heavenly kingdoms, and God rules all of it. Only in the name of the Creator, though. Look at this. Nor is this all, for there is a third resurrection in which the angels rise still higher in wisdom. Now you're hearing about a third resurrection. You only get two in the Bible. Look at this. We talking about the third resurrection. Ask your people, what's the third resurrection? I ain't gonna know. This hasn't been revealed. Nor is there all, for there is and I didn't say a third heaven, I said third resurrection. Nor is this all, for there is a third resurrection in which the angels rise still higher in wisdom, love, and power, and are sent by your God into Etheria, midway between the planets and stars, the highest of all heavens, over which there are chiefs. Look at this. Who are also gods and goddesses of still more comprehensive attributes. Headshot. So you over there, especially the sisters, they done felt so enslaved and so much in bondage. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't got no answer for the sisters. Heifer, shut up. Don't say nothing. You know what I mean? But look, we don't even know that the sisters play a very intricate part in the heavenly kingdoms, not just here on earth, but the heavenly kingdoms of the Creator. You see that? Yeah. Y'all got to come up out of but see, that's that false deity, that false God worship got you putting, you know what I mean, your flesh in bondage. Come up out of that, man. The Creator hates slavery, hates bondage, hates it. You know what I mean? Despises it. Look at this. Therefore, I am like any other spirit of the dead. This is what God is saying, y'all. I am like any other spirit of the dead, a one-time man. upon the earth. You see that? A one-time man upon the earth, even as you are in this day, but one within the organic heavens of the earth. Ooh, if y'all get some understanding, give me an 8 up in the chat. We make a differentiation between God and the Creator. Once you do that, everything opens up for you. All right. We in chapter 13, Book of Divinity, OHP. Y'all tap in with your brother, man. Tap in with your brother. You did. Like I said, hello, my son say stop cursing. And that little joke I said, what's up, man? All right, so this is what we dealing with right here, y'all. All right, we dealing with the Book of Divinity. We in chapter 13. All right, we've been dealing with the system and order of the spirit world. And once we understood the order and all that, let me pull up some charts for y'all so we can understand what we've been doing. All right, we came in talking about what happens once you die, what you're gonna be doing as somebody that's a servant of the ever-present Creator. All right, so we got the whole system in order laid out. You dig? We got the whole system in order laid out. First resurrection, the sin, 2 years. Enter the apprentice, 2 years. Craftsman, 7 years. Look at all that. Nurse assistant, 3 years. Assistant to the physician, 10 years. Nurse, 10. Physician, 50. Entered factor, 12 years. Food transporter, 12 years. Lord bodies transporter, 12 years. Create teeth, 30. On down for a total of 372 years. And this is the first resurrection education. So your first 372 years in the spirit world, this is what you're going to be doing. Learning and working, laboring in righteousness, becoming more and more advanced and high trained. For reference, go back to videos 1 to 3 of this series. You dig? This is part 4. We're just going over what we done went over. Now, this is the second resurrection education. 200 years in Apprentice Louis. 133 years in the Shore, which is a guardian angel. 66 years in Asaph. Those are the angels that receive your records and your spirit once you cross over from your guardian angel. You know what I mean? Louis is more like a spiritual matchmaker, geneticist. Really, there are angels who go all the way back to your great grandparents that inspired them to get together to have you, so you could be born in this day. That's the responsibility and the inspiration of a rank of angels called the Louis. They like spiritual geneticists. You know what I mean? They're like spiritual geneticists, spiritual matchmakers. They call the masters of generations. You feel me? So it's really, there's no coincidence that you are here today listening to what you're listening to and getting understanding and able to receive higher light and all that. There ain't no mistake. It's because of the work of a certain rank of angels going back thousands of years. You know what I mean? Go back like 6 generations at times, 8 generations, 10 generations. Inspiring certain mortals to get together so on down the line you could be born. Enter the chapter primary soul. Then you become a messenger, then a marshal, and then a lord. And that's 699 years. So for the first 1,071 years, you feel me? Over this way, y'all, we got the blueprint of what we're going to be doing. You ask us what you're going to be doing when you cross over. You see that? What's evil about that? You dig? You dig? What's wrong with that? Look at that. That's 1,071 years. What you going to be doing when you cross over? First resurrection education, second resurrection education. Now, again, I ask, why is it that no spiritual text, there's many spiritual systems in this earth. Why is it that no spiritual text can tell you in detail what you're going to be doing when you get to where you're going? I mean, think about it. What kind of sense does that make? That's how you know them false gods. Got to be. Because if I ask every last one of y'all, you can tell me, bro, I'm about to go down to Miami. I'm finna fly out to Cali. I'm finna go to Puerto Rico. Oh, yeah, straight up. Yup. What you gonna be doing when you get there? Good question. I ain't thought that far. You don't know? God ain't told you? Hmm? Yeah, it hit different. It hit different, man. You dig? At least you aware of what's going on. All right. Now, let me pull this up right here. We getting into the time period of Abraham, Brahma, Poe, and Iwata. All right. We been in the time period of Fergopity, Zarathustra. All right. This right here is called the timetables of prophecy. Okay. We got the cycles over here to the far left. She cycled. We got the years. We got the BCE to CE timeline. So from before the Common Era to the Common Era timeline, and before Cosmon to the after Cosmon timeline. Okay. We got the arc, the name of the arc cycle. Remember, arcs are the units that time is measured in. Arcs, right? Noah's ark was a time period. It wasn't a boat. It was a time period in which the flood happened. So there were ships, you know what I mean? But we'll get into that some other age. But the truth about this, so this goes into the beginning of the earth, and when it being formed, we got the Samoan age, the time of planting. All right. So, but the first one, the first arc cycle is right here called the Ark of Wan. And it started in 71, 523 BC. BCE. It's called the Ark of Wan. Okay, the Etherian angel over that arc cycle is called Sathantes. His rank is an archangel, and it's the first era of man created, Ions or Abel. You feel that? Hold on, y'all. Give me a second, real quick. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, bang, 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 bang. Let me stop sharing real quick. I don't see what my whatchamacallit at. There it is. All right, give me 1 second, fam. I gotta grab something. No, man, we got. Yo, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. All right, let me get this real quick. Go back to this because we dealing with a time period, and it said when we was looking at the book of the book of Divinity, we about to go into how the Creator prepared a way, right? A way for these prophets to be born in the earth. All right, remember this stuff is planned out way before you get here. It's almost like predestination, almost. You know what I mean? This stuff is already planned out, right? That Abraham will be born and would be able to receive the light of the Creator. That Brahma will be born, Poe would be born, Iwata, the salute to the American OG prophet from 6,000 years ago, Iwata. You know what I mean? Gautama. You know what I mean? Shout out to the indigenous. You know what I mean? My brothers and sisters, bless up. The Aboriginals or the American Indians, or whatever you call them, what it is. You know what I mean? Algonquin. You dig? Salute. You dig? But it was a great son of the Creator 6,000 years ago, born at the same time that Abraham was born. I'm a total different side of the world than Abraham, but taught the same thing. Had the light of the Creator with him. All right, so we about to go into that arc cycle, and we about to read about the Creator preparing a way for these men to be born. So it ain't like a great man or a great woman just pop up out of nowhere. It's already planned. It's already planned and created and already gave a word to the masses generations. They inspired your great-great-grandparents, your great-great-granddad, just slap your great-great-grandmama on the rear end, girl, come here. You dig? You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and do our thing tonight. And you look up and children are born and grandchildren are born, and you feel me? Like this whole thing is already laid out. It's already laid out. And that's why I was showing those arc cycles. So let me pull that back up real quick so we can see that. So we can see that real quick. Bing. Let's get back to what we doing here. What is we doing? So back to the timetables of prophecy. Okay. See, we giving time periods over this way. Time periods. All right. Again, first arc cycle was called the Arc of One. Y'all see that? The Etherian over that arc cycle was Sathantes. That was his name. Salute, big bro. What was his status and rank? He was an archangel. What was going down the event? It was the first era. Man was created, ions, and or considered Abel. All right. Even those that be into the hominids and all that. Before Abel, you had the beast man created, Asu or Adam. We. And then it goes down. So we about to go, we all the way down here to at the 22nd arc cycle going into the 23rd arc cycle. Okay, see 22 over there on the left. That arc cycle lasted 3,100 years. All right, it started in 7,053 BC. It ended in 3,953 BC. Okay, it's called the Ark of Lu. The Etherian over that was a guy or brother named Phregapati. You see those names in the Vedic text and all that. Like you mess around and bid like East Indian or something like that. What was Phregapati? He was an Orion chief. What was going on during his days? Zarathustra was the main prophet 9,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Who shared the light of the Creator, right? And he lived before Abraham, Brahma, Poe, and Iwata. So these are the men that is being prepared for them to come and be birthed. Okay, now they're the 23rd arc cycle. All right, it lasted 2,400 years. It started in 3,953 BC, which is roughly 6,000 years ago, y'all. Abraham was alive 6,000 years ago. 3953 biblical timeline say Abraham was alive in 2000 BC. Trip about this. He was alive 2 millenniums earlier. And trip about this. Look at the date, 3953 BC. When was the world created or Adam created according to the Hebrew scholars? What year? 3761 BC. You mean to tell me the story of Abraham, Brahma, Poe, and Iwata is older than the creation story in the Bible? Are you serious? Wow. Look at this. It's called the Ark of Speda. Sapenti Ormej. Shout out to Big Sis. Sapenti Ormej was the Etherian angel that was over that arc cycle for 2,400 years. Her rank was an Orion chieftainess. And she was the one, managing the arc cycle that Abraham, Brahma, Poe, and Iwata, were shedding the light of the Creator. See, so we ain't just, licking our fingers and throwing stuff out there. We put it on the table for you. Time period. All right. And we say about the ark and Noah's Ark. Look at that. They're going to Noah right there. When did that go down? Let's go all the way over here. 153 BC. 17th arc cycle. So when we say 25,000 years ago the flood happened, this is what we mean. The flood started in 153 BC. How long was that arc cycle? 3,600 years. It's called the Ark of Noah. The Etherian over there was a high-raised angel named Oph. He was an Orion chief. And it was the 5th era, flood of Pun. We show you. You ain't just talking, man. This ain't lick your finger scholarship. We show it. Real time. See? So now, let's get on back. Let's get on back to what we do. Why does this deal keep hiding on me? I don't like that. Yeah, that right there. Move that out the way. All right, bang. Now let's get back to it. We in the book of Divinity, right? In the book of Divinity. Creation of the world. Creation of the world according to the Hebrew calendar. See, I don't want images. Put on all. See if they give us a oh, hold on, man. Look at this coming from the HonorandHumilitySTL. This is a Jewish newspaper. Y'all see this? You can't make this type stuff up, man. Huh? Y'all see this right here? It says 3761 BCE, the world is created. It's from Haaretz. Let me put this in the chat for y'all, man. We gonna click on this. Y'all need to have this link. Good night. Oh, you mean that not just at the world? They saying the world was created. So you mean to tell me that Abraham, the story of Abraham in the YHWH's is older than the earth? Older than creation? Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat for y'all. Y'all need that. That's some great ammo to have. Y'all, I can hear, nigga, well, I don't accept that date, and you not no scholar. You ain't studying what they study. Care what you accept. You know what I mean? The Hebrew scholars for years have said that, the earth ain't even 6,000 years old. You see that? You see that what I'm saying? Like, creative gang ain't making nothing up, y'all. Like, a lot of cats is running their mouth about what we are. Go ahead and throw this in the chat for y'all. Throw this in the chat. October the what? Hold on, man. Throw this in the chat for y'all, man. Everybody, would Mally just be making stuff up? Nah, I ain't winging nothing. Yeah, it ain't my information. I ain't make it up. What you mad at me for? And they telling you, the scholars of the Bible telling you that the world was created not even 6,000 years ago, in 3761. Ain't that what they said? You know what they said? Oh, okay, well, look at us over here. Well, August Speeder started in 3953 BC. We talking about 200 years earlier. Huh? They say the world was created after. Y'all, that's 20. We're in the 25th arc cycle. They saying the world was created in the 23rd arc cycle. You can't make this stuff up, man. That sounds retarded now, knowing what I know. Knowing what I know now, that sounds retarded. Just to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Let me roll this up so y'all can see this. We're gonna go down to number 23 on the left. You can see it. That's the 23rd arc cycle. We are in the 25th arc cycle, the arc of Cosmos. All right. It was 2,400 years, right? And it started when? 3953 BC. You think it's not BC? Then what is this up here? BCE to CE timeline. Let's go on down. What is we talking about? There it is. Look at that. So, y'all, this ain't me making none of this stuff up. You know what I mean? So, y'all got that from Haaretz, y'all. That's a Jewish newspaper. It's a Jewish newspaper. You see that? That's a Jewish newspaper. Right here. Saying the world was created October the 7th. They put October on it. October the 7th, 3761 BC is the date on which the world was created according to the Hebrew calendar that governs the passage. Hold on, what is this? This is in my way. I need to move this. They want me to subscribe to them. I ain't finna do all that. You know what I mean? But they saying October the 7th, 3761 BC is when the world was created. So it was created in the 23rd arc cycle. Not even 6,000 years ago, y'all. Make that make sense. Okay. Now let's go back to the book of Divinity. Here we are. Let's read this. The Creator prepares a way for the birth of Abraham, Brahma, and YAH'KI. So Abraham and Brahma was not the same person. I hear a lot of y'all throwing that out. And I'm like, nah, y'all tripping. No, they were not the same person. But they did teach similar, the same thing. Chapter 13, Divinity. All right, the Creator prepares a way for the birth of Abram, Brahma, and YAH'KI in the 180th year preceding the dawn of Dan. That is to say, 2,920 years after Fergapati and Zarathustra. You see how pinpoint accurate? HOSB is? Now that you know the dates in which Fergapati and Zarathustra started, what was that? 7,053 BC? Let's put the math on it so we can see exactly where we at, right? So 7,053. Not bad. 7,053 is when the Ark of Luke started. That's when Fergapati and Zarathustra started, right? All right. This right here says in the 180th year preceding the dawn of Dan, that is to say 2,920 years after. So let's type that in, minus 2,920. Hit enter. And we should get a year in which all this is happening. 4133 BC. 4133 BCE, before the Common Era. All right. Which is what? In the 180th year preceding the dawn of Dan, that is to say 2,920 years after Fergapati and Zarathustra, the Creator sent swift messengers with 6,000 Etherian masters of generations, the angels that inspire your parents and all them to get together so you can be born. Your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents, going back like 6 generations. A generation is 33 years. You go back 6, you almost get 200. And this is 180 years. Because remember, 200 years, so they are 180 years before the dawn comes. They going through stages of darkness. They 200 years before, they 180 years before the resurrection about to hit for them. Right? Now remember, the Creator is preparing a way for Abraham and them to be born. So notice he's starting 180 years before these men are born. See, none of this is by accident. It's all planned. It's all divine. Look at this. Etherian Louis from where? The Nirvanian fields of Chingatha in Etheria. So they come 6,000 deep. This is 4133 BCE. The Creator starts preparing a way for these great men to be born. Y'all see that? If y'all understand that, give me a 7 up in the chat. Let's go ahead and cook. And the swift messengers brought these words with them. Greetings to you, God of the red star and her heavens, in the name of the Creator. See this? By the love and wisdom of Serpenti Armij, Nirvanian goddess of HICKMAN, we speak who? In the Father's name. Yeah, so there are gods and goddesses, but the gods and goddesses that are down with the Creator are never worshipped. If you are currently worshiping a god or goddess, they are false. A god and goddess is just a big brother and sister of yours with ample experience, and they're highly trained in advance. But they are never to be worshipped or prayed to. All right, so this is an example of a sister, you know what I mean, who then crossed over and became high raised, and the Creator called her to do her work, and she said, "Oh yeah, Father, I'm about to get that done." You dig? So now you got sisters striving to become goddesses. They're goddesses in training. Salute the sisters. You dig? See, that's better for them. That's better than for them thinking they about to be a damn slave their whole life. Now they preparing. Now the young brothers are preparing to become gods one day. That's better for them than just believing in tribal warfare. Yeah, I'm just an Israelite. I'm gonna kill and murk shit. Nah, come on, man. We over here inspiring you to become a god, bro. We over here inspiring you to become a goddess, sister. You dig? Raise up. Notice they speak in the Father's name. Peace and joy to you, O God, and to your sub-gods and lords, and Lord gods and goddesses. See all these up under the rank of God. 180 years of darkness will now come upon your kingdoms. And then the darkness will go away and dawn will come. And during the darkness, behold, the nations of the earth will go down in great darkness. So he's like, look, y'all about to get hit. This is 4133 BC. These 6,000 Louis came and hollered at God and was like, look, greater than, about to prepare a thing. And he know darkness is coming. So we sent to go ahead and make sure a line of light is established. You dig? Matter of fact, Big Sis coming. Serpentia or me, she coming. You dig? We come before she even come to let you know, hey, look, it's time to get to work. It's time to get to work. You know what I mean? We got to make sure a line of light is established in these different regions of the earth. Feel me? And obviously, it's going to take about 180 years to get this work done. You know what I mean? Look at this right here. But the light of the Father's presence will not be destroyed. A little seed shall endure among mortals. In order for that seed to be ready for the labor of your goddess, who will come in that day, she sends here with us 2,000 Etherian Louis, 2,000 Etherian masters of generations, spiritual geneticists for India, Venue, 2,000 for Japheth, Asia, China, and 2,000 for Arabia, Northeast Africa. Preparing a way. These Louis have to be in these regions of the earth to inspire your great-great-grandparents to come together. So down the line, 6 generations later, you could be born to receive this. That's marvelous, man. And your goddess decrees that you shall appoint to these Louis one of your high-raised gods, and he shall go and labor with them. And the business of this your God and of these my Louis shall be to raise up heirs. So you understand it now. Supposed to raise up heirs and followers who shall be grown to maturity when I come. For through these that they raise up, I will deliver the Father's chosen out of the afflictions that will be upon them in that day. See, so it's a work. In order for a prophet to be born, is already planned out 6 generations earlier. Right? In order for in this case, Serpentia or me, but in other cases, other brothers and sisters or high-raised gods and goddesses, in order for them to come and be effective in their work, the Louis got to come first. You understand? And make sure certain mortals come together so you could be born at a certain time. So Abraham could be born. So Brahma could be born. See that? Man, that's cold, man. That's cold. Look at this right here. It says right here, to this God replied in the name of the Creator, greeting and love to Serpentia or Mage, goddess of HICKMAN. I receive your Louis with joy, and I appoint to them my favored God, HEMA, God of 1,000 years tuition. Boy, we ain't got to that type of education yet. We just was on second resurrection education. Your boy, big bro Yema, that went through 1,000 years tuition. Namesake of Yema, son of Vivanho, the sweet singer. So that lets you know he was a man. God is a man. He's a son. He's a son of somebody. He's a man. So the swift messengers with due ceremonies left the 6,000 Etherian Louis and departed. And God sent messengers to Yema, commanding him to come to Meru at once, deputing his assistant God to take his place and to retain it until dawn. So we go ahead and, put somebody in your place, right? For the next 180 years, I need you over here. So Yema appeared presently before the throne of God, and the latter instructed him in all that had been commanded from on high. You see, God is taking orders from, angels that's in higher rank than him, but they getting it from the Creator. It said right here, and Yema sent word to his former kingdom for 1,000 of his attendants, and they also came. Meanwhile, Yema conferred with the Louis, who explained to him all that they required. And after this, they provided a Piedmazor, or a fire ship, and descended to the earth, Japheth, Asia, Venue, India, and Arabia, Africa. And Yema stationed his Piedmazor midway between the 3 countries, in the first plateau above the clouds, and called the place Horeb, in honor of the first heavenly kingdom on the earth. And when he had founded this place and named it, he sent word to God, the Creator's Son, God, the Creator's Son, who gave him 500 messengers, mostly college students. Oh, and God gave, yes, why aren't there colleges or universities? You're already going to universities. Could it be when you graduate, that's where you go? When you cross over, you're going to some type of university or college? Ooh, mostly college students, and God gave them to deliver heme currents so the Etherians could be supplied with a regimen of their own order. What is that? 723. Etherian food. See, you eating the atmospherian parts of food. You ain't even eating solid food in the heavens. Nigga talking about God like meat. Like, nigga, God ain't eating it. Ain't no slaughterhouses in the heaven, man. You cats is crazy. So look at this word. So it says, and God gave them to deliver heme currents or atmospherian food so the Etherians could be supplied with a regimen of their own order. Yima made the watches 24 hours duration, changing at dawn of sunrise every morning, half on and half off. And he called in all guardian angels, all the shards, from the regions of mortals where he planned to labor. And when they had assembled in Horeb, he addressed them, saying, behold, it is still 180 years till dawn of Dan. In that time, Serpentior Medes, goddess of Hyopsades, situated in the Nirvanian fields of Chingatha, will come in the Creator's, in the Father's name, and with wisdom and power. But until that time, alas, great darkness will be in heaven and earth, especially in these regions. And it shall come to pass that the mongrels, the worshippers of the false god Ahura Mazda, will triumph in these lands. They will build great cities and kingdoms, and they will rule over the islands to great injury. But the Druks will be redeemed to everlasting life during this period, for the mongrels will wed with them, and their progeny will be capable of receiving light, spirit light, even in mortality. Nevertheless, these mongrels will be great savages, and there will be cannibals over all these three great lands, and those who are slain in battle will be cut up and put in vessels with salt. Good night. And thus their flesh will be preserved for food, boy. You better watch dealing with some of these countries you call yourself going to, talking about they your brother. Well, somebody will eat you, boy. Look at this. But because the Iowans, the Zarathustrians, will not war, the mongrels will enslave them, except for those who escape to the forest. And between celibacy and torments, the Zarathustrians will have great suffering and bondage. And many of them will be discouraged and lose faith in the Creator. Now, at the beginning of the arc cycle, Lu, the Zarathustrians was all good. But you see, after a 3,000-year period, you dig, darkness becomes more and more. False gods become more inspirational to mortals. No? They start losing faith. All right. But in order for their seed to be preserved and delivered out of slavery, bondage, you shall raise up many who are capable of suis. Many of y'all done had deja vu, or premonition, or you know what I mean? You can feel certain things before they happen. See, those are certain degrees and levels of suis, or what's called being clairvoyant. One mealy mouth Negro heard clairvoyant and lost his mind. I'm like, boy, what you think every prophet is? They're clairvoyant, boy. What's wrong with you? Some of y'all dreams come true, right? So that is truly a spiritual thing. You ain't crazy. You did. You shall raise up many who are capable of suis, and in the time of dawn they shall be rescued from their enemies. Behold, present here are Etherian Louis who will go with you throughout these lands and survey the people, and also provide for the great lights who shall lead the people. After Yima thus instructed the guardian angels in a general way, he handed them over to the Louis, who divided them into companies of thousands, and each and every Louis had one company of Ashars or guardian angels. And when this was completed, they departed out of Horeb to go into their various places. And 11 days after that, behold, Ajah began to fall on heaven and earth. This is atmospherian condensed substance. It's a time of darkness. You know what I mean? Atmospherian space dust start falling. All right. The belt of meteors gave up its stones, and showers of them rained down on the earth. And the sun became like a red ball of fire. And it remained so for 166 years. Now so that means from 4133 BC to 3967 BC, the sun was a red ball of fire. See how pinpoint accurate OSB is? It's giving you right there, putting you right where you need to be to understand the time and what's going on. We ain't just throwing time out there. That's something else. Where's your timetable? How can you even understand what you're talking about? Let's examine it. Let's see if it hold up. I ain't ran across a better cosmogony or better timetables of prophecy that explain world history and what goes on in the heavens. I personally ain't ran across that. I almost read every spiritual text, to be honest with you. You see, so for 166 years, the sun was a red ball of fire. And the peoples of Arabia, Africa, Venue, India, and Jaffa, China, fell from holiness. The Zarathustrians gave up celibacy by hundreds of thousands and married and begot children in great numbers. Many women giving birth to 20 and some even to 25 children. And some men were the fathers of 70 children. And not a few even of 100. And the Zarathustrians, even the Faithists, with the mark of circumcision. See, Israel wasn't the first to get circumcised. Israel wasn't the first. The Zarathustrians, them, that's 9,000 years ago. Circumcision. Even the Faithists with the mark of circumcision went and married with the mongrels. And they with the drugs, so that the foundations of caste were broken up. And that was done so, upper class, middle class, all that extra. So great was the power of HI that even the Ions often broke their vows and lived clandestinely or secretly with the world's people, begetting offspring in great numbers, not eligible to enter their sacred cities. And yet mortals did not see the atmospheric substance of the HI, but they saw their cities and temples sinking, as it were. Trip off that. You thinking your stuff sinking. Really, it's substance falling from the atmosphere by the ton, by the megaton. You think your stuff sinking. Nah, that ain't what it is. Yet in truth, they were not sinking, but were covered by the HI falling and condensing. The Creator had said, what I give that grows the physical inspires man to corporate or physicality. What I give that grows the spirit inspire man to spirit or S. And in the days of HI, when atmospheric substance falls to the earth in times of darkness, neither angels nor men can enthuse mortals with spiritual things. Only those who are organically grown in spirit can withstand the HI. So time the heavens and the earth goes through periods of darkness, y'all. Not because the Creator is mad. It's to try you. You know what I mean? And think about your life. It wasn't always easy for you and all that. That's life. You're gonna go through your stages of darkness and your periods of darkness. But it's to strengthen your willpower, your resilience. You dig? You stronger if you had to get something, you had to get it out the mud. You didn't have all the resources. You didn't have all the money. You didn't have, you understand? And you look up and you got it. You see? You were flexing your willpower, right? You manifested that. You see, that's why the Creator allowed periods of darkness to come upon the heavens and the earth. And that's why we go through our dark periods in life. It ain't because the Creator is angry at you. It's to make you better, actually. You dig? Because you're way more powerful than you understand. Way more powerful. You dig? Ooh-wee, 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 ooh-wee. All right, chapter 14, book of Divinity. Y'all give me a 5 up in the chat if y'all getting some understanding. Bless up, man. Bless up. You know what I mean? Ooh-wee, 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 ooh-wee. Bang, bang. Let's see y'all in the building. Bless up. We cooking with the vortex tonight. Cooking with the vortex, man. All right, the Creator said, when HI comes near a dawn of Dan, let my Louis be swift in duty, far seeing in the wet races of men. See, one day you're going to hold the title of a Louis. You want to learn how to prophesy and tell what type of offspring will be born. And oof, you see? And that ain't even it. It gets better from there. Let my Louis be swift in duty, far seen in the races of men. I not only break up the old foundations of temples and cities in those days, but the foundations of the abuse of the caste of men. Yeah, all they got to come down. All that lower class, middle class, the rich, all they got, all that's gonna get busted up. And again, it ain't because the creator's angry, it's because that ain't what it is. You understand? We're supposed to be communal living, common living, community. That's how the angels live. See, now you know, Bible just tell you to gather together, or it tells you to put all the stuff at the apostles' feet. You know what I mean? But it never reveals, no, that you're mobilizing in the communities and sharing resources and skills, because that's how the angels of the second resurrection and higher move out. Whew. Boy, you can't tell me that ain't cold. So you get the why. You get the why from a wasp. Get the why. See that? My voice is upon the races of men. Today I say, preserve the caste of men, marry thus and so, everyone to their own line. For I perceive it is wisdom. Tomorrow I say, I will have no caste, for the races are becoming impoverished in blood. Marry her, marry there, and I give them Agi, and their desires break all bounds, and I raise them up giants and strong-limbed. But in those days, my Louis shall fly swiftly and with great power, so that a seed may be preserved for me and my kingdoms. I do not come for one race alone. I do not come for one race alone. Whew. I know that probably made every Israelite from her to Jerusalem spill their coffee. Or every Klansman from her to Tutwiler, Mississippi. Spill their coffee or spill their Jim Beam. I do not come for one race alone, but what? To all men. See, you still in the tribal warfare. You still hoodwinked by the false gods. You still tribe banging. As by my spirit I created them alive. Oof. So likewise my hand is over them to all eternity. All men. Why you got to be proud and be racist? We used to say, yeah, I am racist. I believe my race is superior than yours. And that's a reaction, because that's what the so-called, that's what we learned in the antebellum South and up North. Bigotry. Nah, man, ain't how to create a move. You dig? And a lot of y'all already know that shit dwindling. It's played out. Racism and all, it's played out. It's dwindling. You feel me? You know, look, you know when somebody jacked up. You already know when you're like, man, I'm not even going to be around him. I'm cool. See, you already read spirits. You already feel it and be like, oh, man, it's time to go. I don't know, but I'm about to leave. You see what I'm saying? You already are judging situations. You already judging men's character and deciding within yourself if you want to be in company of that, around something like that. You do it all the time. You understand? Spirit ain't bound to concentrated forms of melanin. That's what they had you thinking. You know what I mean? Spirit ain't bound to that. As by my spirit I created them all alive, so likewise my hand is over them all to eternity, them to all eternity. And when the shower Agi is over and gone, I send my high raised gods and goddesses to gather together my flocks and to proclaim to them anew my wisdom and power. And those who have been selected and preserved by my Louis are the foundations of my new order. Backdrop, boy. Backdrop, man. Yeah, you millie mouth Negroes. I know you're mad. I know. Now look at this. Now that we know that after the darkness comes the light, right? And when the shower of Agi is over, when you come through your dark period of life, I done been through several. You know what I mean? You dig? Darkness, heaviness is a real thing. You dig? But no, when after the darkness comes the light. You gotta bump into some light after so much darkness. You understand? You just learn from what it was. All right. And when the shallow age is over and gone, I send my high raised gods and goddesses to gather together my flocks. So now that we know after the darkness comes light, look what the false god did. Verse 4. Ahura took advantage of the age of darkness. He took advantage of that 180 years to sow disbelief in Creator, which he broadcast over earth and heaven, and to gather in his harvest for the glory of his own kingdom. Yeah, false gods got their own kingdoms, their own heavens for a time, and then it falls. Then it falls. You know what I mean? Creator is marvelous. Creator is truly marvelous, man. And when war, murder, and lust, hold on, y'all, dang. I'm charging. Yeah, I'm charging. And when war, murder, and lust were thus reigning on earth, Ahura decreed to his lords, and they decreed to his guardian angels, and they decreed to mortals. So Ahura got lords, he got guardian angels and all that. That all that was required of any man or woman was not celibacy, nor carrying the alms bowl, nor any sacrifice at all, but the saying prayers to Ahura Mazda. Wow. And to his lords, and to wish them here with praise was sufficient for all situations. And that by doing so, on the third day after death, look at this. On the third day after death, they would ascend and dwell in Ahura's paradise. Why y'all think we can look up all these videos of what heaven is like for a Buddhist, what heaven is like for a Muslim, what heaven is like for a Christian? They all got, some things are similar, but they got their own versions of what it is. Because every false god has his heaven. It's in the atmosphere. It's right above your head. Right? And they would have you believing that they are the creator. But the beautiful thing about those false gods and their kingdoms, they always crumble. You cut yourself off from the creator by saying there is no creator. You cut yourself off from the source. Now you have no sustenance. You have no way of doing anything. You know what I mean? Look at this. However, this was not true, for Ahura's emissaries caught the newborn spirits. This is what we're trying to get y'all to avoid. You don't want no emissaries of a false god to catch your spirit as soon as it cross over. You see that? For Ahura or the false god's emissaries caught the newborn spirits and made slaves of them, commanded them to gather a regiment and substance for the glory of Ahura's heavenly kingdoms. You don't want to be no false god worm. You don't be worming on your belly. Worshiping a false god. Worming on your belly. And guess what? You a buck private. You ain't even know, you ain't no 5-star general. You a buck private. They got you running to gather. They got you running to the store to buy chicken. Oh, man. Verse 5, in the 40th year before dawn. Remember, the dawn was 3953 BC, right? So 40 years before that is what? 3993 BC. See, we don't leave you hanging. They put the dates, and we come, they give you the years, and we come with the dates on it. In the 40th year before dawn of 3993 BCE, the voice of the Father came to God, saying, Meru is becoming uninhabitable. Haredi shall be moved into the earth. And y'all, these are heavenly atmospheric plateaus, kingdoms. Haredi shall be moved into the earth. Zered Ho shall be no more. Do not go to Ahura with this prophecy. He has denied my voice. He will not hear. But I will take the foundations of sea tusk from under him, and it shall go down into the earth. You hear what the creator said, boy, I'm about to trip out this. I'm about to land that boy plane. I'm about to crash it. Man, the creator's cold, man. He told God, he told his son, God, look, don't even go to him no more. You know what I mean? Do not go to Ahura with this prophecy. Don't even let him know his kingdom falling or his kingdoms. Why? He denied the Creator's voice. He ain't gonna hear it anyway. But I'm about to crash this boy plane. Watch this. But you, O God, my son, I forewarn. For your kingdoms and your upraised sons and daughters shall be preserved through the darkness. They shall become my brides and bridegrooms. I will prepare a place for them in great glory. Call the diva together, and I will speak before them. And my voice shall be proclaimed throughout all these heavens, except in the heavens of Ahura, where my voice shall not be proclaimed. So God called the diva. The diva is the parliament of the Congress, the heavenly Congress. And they came and sat in the sacred circle, and the light like a sun gathered above God's head, saying, remember, God is your brother. Come up above Hades. Behold, I have broken up meteors. I have fashioned a new plateau in the firmament above, upon which all things are plentiful for heavenly kingdoms. Come with your Lord gods and with your lords and gods, and I will show you. And when you have seen it, you shall possess the place and begin its inhabitation, taking there your host of billions. Like, look, we got a higher plateau for you. You know what I mean? It's a time of darkness, or horror taking advantage, but his kingdom falling. We're going to move you up. Let him fall. We're going to move you up. Watch this. When the light ceased speaking, it took wing and rose upward. And Div and Diva, God, and the Congress rose also and followed after. And thus the Creator led them to the plateau. Hence it was called Cryoshiva, signifying the light has chosen. I like that name, Cryoshivi. I guess that's how you say it. Cryoshivi. I don't know. But hence it was called Cryoshiva, signifying the light is chosen. And God and his sub-gods possessed the place and laid the foundation for inhabitation. And after that, he and his lords and gods returned and counseled on the manner of removal. At this time, there were 4 billion faithists belonging to God's kingdoms, most wise and upright, full of purity and good works. But God and his lords and lord gods did not have sufficient power to remove so many angels. Look at that, boy, that's cold. They're like, look, we gotta move all these angels, and we gotta move higher, right? But they didn't have enough what? But God and his lords and lord gods did not have sufficient power to remove so many angels. We talking about 4 billion. Especially as many of them were still below grade 50. And so were inclined downward more than upward. So after due counsel, God decreed to build an avalanche capable of transporting 200,000 at a time, and to begin by removing the highest grades. What are the grades? Let's show some of the grades. I know I got them on there somewhere. The grades of mortals and angels. Okay. Some of these angels was just at grade 50. See that? The grades of mortals and angels. So we got a whole system in order over this way. Right? You can grade yourself. All right. What is the label? Serving others 100%, your highest grade is a 99. Serving yourself 25% and serving others 75%, your grade is a 75. It's all based on your service done in others. All right. Serving self 50% and serving others 50%, grade 50. So now he had he had a gang of those, a large number of that 4 billion angels. Were at grade 50, meaning they spend 50% of their time serving themselves and 50% of the time serving others. That's a grade 50. Now ask yourself, like, what grade are you? Right? Serving self 75% and serving others 25%, you get a grade 25. And serving yourself 100%, you in grade 1. Yeah, you in the first grade. You in kindergarten. You serving self. Self is Satan, ego. We ain't licking our fingers over it, man. We ain't guessing about nothing, right? And knowing this right here is practical. Knowing this, you're going to strive to serve others more than yourself, because now you know what? That's how I raise my grade. So what's your spiritual grade? Is most of your life serving yourself, or most of your time serving yourself, or serving others? Or is it 25%? or 50% or 75%. See, this is practical right here. You can actually grade yourself. You can really like go within and ask self, like, you know what I mean? Or go within and just reflect on what it is you do every day. And ask yourself, is that a righteous work for others or is it for me? You see? If that makes sense to you, give me a 4 up in the chat. Right? Real easy, but so deep. Because even angels are graded the same way. You see? The angels are graded the same way as mortals. Because they want to graduate too. They want to get out of the atmosphere and get into the higher heavens. See that? You did that? Yeah, Urantia would be a good sci-fi movie. Yeah, that's solid. Urantia can't hold a candle to old Osby. I done read Urantia. I got Urantia, actually. You know what I mean? Right? But how liberating is that to know? That's a benefit, ain't it? Know that you look, you and the angels are being graded by the same rule of thumb. Only by righteousness and good works done unto others is there any resurrection, y'all. So now, guess what you're gonna start doing? You're gonna start challenging yourself to be in service to others more than yourself every day. Because you know a righteous work is how you raise your grade. See that? You see that? You know how to raise your grade now. All right, you getting some understanding. Give me a 4 up in the chat. Bless up, bless up, bless up. Let's get on back. So now you know what it means that these angels, most of them was only at grade 50. That means they spend 50% of the time serving self and 50% of the time serving others. Now you know, right? Let's get back to it. I'm tripping. That is right here. Read again, verse 11. Oh man, verse 11. At this time, there were 4 billion faiths belonging to God's kingdoms, most wise and upright, full of purity and good works. But God and his lords and Lord gods did not have sufficient power to remove so many angels, especially as many of them were still below grade 50. Meaning they were serving themselves more than others. They were below the grade. See that? And so were inclined downward more than upward. Yeah, because they serve in self or flesh more than spirit. Right. So after due counsel, God decreed to build an avalanche. See, so whenever they need to go somewhere, y'all, they build a ship. Now you know that ships are built. Chariots that you see coursing the firmament. They were built. God decreed to build an avalanche capable of transporting 200,000 at a time and to begin by removing the highest grades. And God foresaw of his own wisdom that he should send to Vishnu and his lordom an all-sufficient force to protect the mortals of India, which is Vindu, Japheth, which is China, and Arabia, which is Africa. Now remember, y'all, this is 6,000 years ago, which was soon to be flooded by the host of Ahura being cast down on the earth. Like, look, the false god kingdom about to fall. When his kingdom falls, all his servants come into the earth. You know what I mean? All his servants come into the earth. So what did they decide to do? Right? Protect those, because remember, they're planning for the birth of who? Abraham, Poe, Brahma, and Iwata. You know what I mean? All right. Accordingly, he sent for Vishnu, and when Vishnu was before the throne of God, the latter told him all the words of the Creator had said in regard to Ahura and his kingdoms and their ultimate precipitation to the earth. Like his kingdom gonna fall like rain. He gonna fall like lightning. His kingdom gonna fall like rain. And told him about the new plateau, Cryoshifa, where the light had conducted them. And he further commanded Vishnu to return to his own place, Maitreya, and survey the dominions and estimate what force it would require in order to protect the mortals of those 3 earth divisions. So, you know, using wisdom, if you know the false god and his emissaries about to fall and they're going to be looking to feast on mortals, then guess what? How many forces you need to protect these mortals? to protect these 3 divisions of the earth. See that? Vishnu replied, as to the latter part of your commandment, O God, I have already accomplished it. For I feared these things might come to pass, and I provided accordingly. The number I will require of and above grade 80 will be 600 million. He said he needs 600 million angels who have a grade of 80 or higher. Meaning they spend 80% of their time doing what? Serving others. Only 20% serving themselves. For I must have at least 1 angel for each and every mortal. So 6,000 years ago, guess what? It was 600 million people in this earth. God answered him, saying, you shall have 800 million. Upon hearing this, Vishnu took leave and returned to his own place, Maitreya's. God immediately sent forth selectors with power, and they went into all the colleges and factories and other places of the Creator's kingdoms and selected out of the 800 million angels required by Vishnu, and God sent them to Maitreya's as soon as possible. Now, the 600 million angels taken to Maitreya's who had been subjects to sub-gods, besides 100 million that had strayed off, becoming wanderers and drudges, Vishnu found 30 million above grade 50. And these he appropriated at once to work in concert with the sub-gods in building schools, colleges, factories, and all of the required places for the elevation of man. See, you continue to elevate once you cross over, man. Ask yourself, is the spiritual system you a part of, are you elevating, or have you hit a ceiling? You elevating, or have you plateaued off, fell off? Right? You got gods who are highly raised and trained who will provide for your continued elevation once you cross over. When he had thus established order, he called together the sub-gods and said to them, do not think I am about to leave you on your own. I am not. But you are not mine to keep, nor are your host mine. You asked for them in the first place, and the Creator gave them to you. I have restored order. The time has now come when one of you must be chief captain over all the rest. Then he shall apportion the rest of you according to his highest light. Choose therefore your captain, and I will give him a judgment seat and a badge of office. And together you shall comprise a council, for I will make this a kingdom when the majority is past grade 50. The sub-gods deliberated for 8 days, but perceiving the responsibility of leadership, not one of them will accept the place. They like, nah, I'm cool. So they came before Vishnu saying, release us, we pray, and raise up another person. He shall be our captain. Vishnu said, a certain man and woman married, and they prayed to the Creator for offspring. And he answered their prayer. And they had many children. And now when they perceived the responsibility to the children, they said to the Great Spirit, we pray that you give the responsibility to some other persons. What do you think of them? Now I say to you, Jehovah heard their first prayer, but not the second. If I serve the Creator, how then shall I answer your prayers and appoint another person in your place? It is a wise man who does not rush into leadership and responsibility, but he is a good man indeed, who, having got in, says, now I will go ahead in the Creator's wisdom and power with all my might. The gods who are above us come to such a man and help him. Go then once more into council and appoint a chief captain. Barely had Vishnu finished saying this when the sub-gods perceived what was meant by the higher light, and the whole 60 held up their hands, saying, I will serve you, O Creator. Give me whatever you will. Whew. With that, Vishnu commanded them to appoint the one with the highest grade, which they did, and it fell upon Subdiga. Accordingly, Subdiga was made chief captain-in-chief of Maitreya's with rank 60 on the first list. So Vishnu created a judgment. Seat for Subga and gave him a badge of office, and the other sub-gods were made captains of divisions and numbered according to their assignment, and none of them were humiliated before their former subjects, but became trainers and disciplinarians in new fields of labor. Oof. Y'all hear that? Got angels who are trainers and disciplinarians, and their former subjects were no longer called slaves or subjects, but hosts, and they were liberated in all things, except with no liberty to return to mortals. So remember, some of these false gods and sub-gods left Ahura, and now they getting put to work in righteousness. You see what I mean? Look at this. Vishnu no more than had these matters settled when the new host, the 800 million, came as the guard and shields of mortals. Vishnu organized them, making Maitreya the central throne over them, and he divided them into companies of 1 million and gave each company 1 marshal and 1,000 messengers. And the marshals again subdivided their hosts into thousands and numbered them. And to each 1,000 he gave 1 master with his quota of messengers. Next, Vishnu divided the 3 great countries, India, China, and Africa, into as many parts as he had appointed marshals. You heard that? Next, Vishnu divided the 3 great countries, India, Japheth, which is China, basically, or Asia, and Arabia, Northeast Africa, or Africa, into as many parts as he had appointed marshals. And the lands were mapped out, showing cities, towns, and country places, and each marshal was assigned his place. And a record of these things was made, including the maps, the divisions, and the names of the marshals and masters. And it was registered in the libraries of heaven. So Vishnu's hosts were sent to their places and commanded to give daily reports of their labors, which were to be carried by the messengers to Vishnu. You getting some system in order today. System in order today. Chapter 15, Divinity. Oh, I see. It's going down. Ooh-wee. Let's get it cracking. All right, y'all getting some understanding? Give me a 3 up in the chat. Let me grab something to drink real quick, beautiful people. I'll be right back. 600 million, you sure right? Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Book of Divinity, chapter 15. Oh, I stay. There's some understanding going forth, man. All praises to the Creator. All praises. Chapter 15. In Meru, God and his officers were using all their strength and wisdom to provide for the removal of his host to Croatia. The demand for builders, surveyors, and carriers with power was so great that God, trip about this, y'all. He pulled a jack move on Ahura and his kingdoms. Look at this. That God decided to send trumpeters through the kingdoms of Ahura the False, asking for volunteers. Now remember, Ahura's kingdom is supposed to be the highest kingdom. There's supposed to be none higher than it. Remember, he's a lord that jumped off the porch and proclaimed himself the creator and the highest of all. Right? So what these people gonna think what these angels gonna think when something higher, more powerful come through? So, hey, look, we looking for volunteers to remove the host up to Croatia. Now, who want to come? Look at this. Boy, he took his kingdom down by taking it from him. You see this? God decided to send trumpeters through kingdoms of Ahura the False, asking for volunteers. For this purpose, he sent 12 fire ships in different directions. Some even going through the city of Cetus. God ain't respecting nothing of who we're talking about. Nigga, I'm finna send a fire shit right through your capital. Ain't respecting nothing you talking about. I'm about to show the world you false, Jack. I'm about to show the world you see before gusto. I'm about to show the world you pump faking. That's cold. Y'all stupid. But that's cold, man. You did. You ain't got no respect for your power. You a little low. Remember the guy told him I think it was the last episode we had of this. The guy told me, say, man, look, I know you. I'm the one crowned your Lord. I know your education ain't went past no Lord. You can barely even change the current of wind. You don't know how to control no elements. You don't know how to remove, like raise a plateau. You don't know how to do none of that. You know what I mean? Like, I know you. Who you up here putting on for? Man, he don't respect this cat. So, look, no respect for him. Sent the fire ship right through his capital. And they proclaimed aloud what they wanted. And it came to pass in less than 1 year. The Otivans gathered out of Ahura's kingdom 7 million angels, capable of grade 70, who were able to fill the places required. Man, empty this kingdom out, 7 million. And they got high grades. They got well, not high grades, but decent. They north of 50. This was the most damaging blow of all the Ahura's kingdom. Most damaging blow, huh? For he thus lost the wisest and most powerful of his people. Wow, the most wise and powerful of his people was grade 70. And this news spread like fire before the wind. His sub-gods began to revolt against him. See his kingdom falling. And laid claim to their own kingdoms. Many of them openly preached against him in their heavenly places, accusing him of falsehood and of being a mere pretender with little power. False god falling. All you makeshift deities been put on notice. All you makeshift deities have been put on notice. The jig is up. Being a mere pretender with little power. Nevertheless, he had great power in the name of Ahura Mazda, for he was believed in heaven to be the same God. Even Ahura Mazda, who inspired Zarathustra. You see, he basically took the same name of the God that was with Zarathustra. Remember, this cat name is Sea Tusk. That's his name. Right? They built a capital for him in his heavenly kingdom called Sea Tusk, named after him. This little Sea Tusk. This nigga name ain't no Ahura Mazda. His name's Sea Tusk. But you see what the false gods do. They take the names or similar names of righteous gods who lived a long time before them, so they don't have to work hard to establish a new name. They just change the doctrine. And mortals also living and dying in this belief could not be convinced otherwise. That's why it's so hard to holler at your people to get them off their Christianity or their Islam or whatever. And when their spirits left their mortal bodies, Ahura's angels took them to the heavenly city of Sea Tusk. Look at this. False gods got kingdoms. They all gonna fall though. Look what you're gonna be doing in their kingdoms. Ahura's angels took them to the heavenly city of Sea Tusk, where they saw its glory, shining and magnificent. And they took them within sight of Ahura's throne, but not near it. And they were obliged to crawl on their bellies. Got a worm on your belly for this false god. You his slave. And you only can see him sitting on his throne from a distance. And you got to get lower than snail nuts. Look at this. And they were obliged to crawl on their bellies a long distance, even for this purpose. and the throne was kept radiant with perpetual fire. Then they were made to recrawl, reworm their way back again until out of the city. After that, it was said to them, behold, we have shown you Ahura Mazda's heavenly city and the glory of his throne, but him you cannot look upon until you have performed the service required of all souls enter in heaven. Nor can you come again to this most brilliant and majestic of cities till you have served under your lords and masters for your allotted time. After that, you shall come here and dwell in peace, rest, and happiness forever. Sound familiar, don't it? Real vague, ain't really telling you nothing. But the God wants his praise. And you got to show your devotion by worming on your belly. You know what I mean? You dig? Look at this. Yeah, it was that Tabitha, Sister Tabitha. It actually was that. They came and hollered at him like, hey, look, you promised us this, and we already know you ain't even cut like that. You can't go no further. We've been every inch and square inch of your kingdom. And if you can't promote us, we can't promote those under us. You did? So yeah, he promised them a whole bunch and didn't come through on it. They served him a couple hundred years and was like, nah, Jack, nah. And these spirits had no way of knowing otherwise, nor would they believe if told. And they thus willingly made slaves of themselves for hundreds of years. You put yourself in slavery. Put yourself in spiritual bondage. That's why if you pray to or worship any God, that God is false. A true God only wants your brotherhood. You got to raise up so they can continue to move up. A true God or God is just a one-time living man or woman. That's real simple to understand. That raised up and became and holds the title of a God or a goddess, a lord or a lordess, a chief or a chieftainess. See that? See that? Matter of fact, the sister that's going to oversee the whole Ark of Speda that's a sister. Her name's Serpentia Armige. She was an Orion chieftainess. You're going to get into some of her stories shown too. See that? Made slaves of themselves for hundreds of years, carrying provender or doing drudgery to certain masters who were again serving the lords and the sub-gods, going through the same rites and ceremonies in heaven as they were accustomed to on earth. Yeah. Just a ceremony, the repetition ceremony to entrap your soul. Ceremony really ain't about no spiritual progression. It really ain't, revealing that to you. Oh, okay, that's what they do in the heavens. But the Creator provides for all things, wiser than the wisest gods. See, difference between the Creator and the God. If you pray to any God, you're praying to a false God. True God don't want your prayers. He created his creations with a door on every side, full of glory and freedom. Out of earth and atmosphere conjoined, out of earth and atmosphere put together, he created the animal and vegetable kingdoms. Heard it? So the animal and vegetable kingdoms are made out of part earth and part atmosphere. Sky, earth, spirit. I speak cold, man. And he created the trees of the earth and the flesh of animals out of these two things, the dust of the earth and the air of heaven. Ball game, boy. See, you ain't just getting told that God on day 6 God created the animals. You ain't getting tell the when, you getting tell the how. This is how it happened. See that? Huh? You hear that? You feel that? That's called clarity. So all that pressure getting the ball for you ain't that serious. False guys got you walking on pins and needles. You can't even fart downwind. Wrong. Or your chestnut's gonna roast forever. Come on, man. Stop that. Stop that. All right. And the Creator made it so that in death their corporeal elements would go to their respective places where they belong. But the Creator created this possibility that in death of a vegetable and in the death of an animal, when the atmospheric part flies upward, it would carry with it a small part of the dust of the earth and it thus does his bidding. He created his creations with this possibility also, that the earth gives away of its substance into atmosphere over hundreds of years, and the fields become barren and cease producing, and certain animals become barren and cease reproducing, and their species go out of existence. And he created man subject to the same forces. And when the earth is in the giving off period, behold, man ceases to desire of the earth, and he cries out to his Father in heaven for the light of heaven. The Creator also created this possibility for the earth and the heavens above the earth, a season, hundreds of years, for the earth to give off its substance when it flies upward or outward, and for hundreds of years, a season for the earth to receive an addition of substance from the atmosphere, surcharge from the regions far away. And when it is thus receiving, it is called the time of HI, because that which falls condenses is HI. When the earth is in receiving mode, is receiving that atmospheric space dust, that condensed space dust. Condensation, basically, it changes form. You know what I mean? It may go from a gas to a liquid, or a liquid to a gas, or, you know what I'm saying? That's what condensation is it changes states. It's still what it is. It's like water and ice is the same thing. It's just a different state. It's condensed. All right. Wait. When HI comes upon the earth, the drudges come also. The days of the darkness of earth are their delight. Their harvest is in the rich falling HI. It suits their laziness and their inclination to bask about. In those days, they become like overfed animals, and to their masters, the false gods, they become worthless, for they derive their sustenance without labor. HI is their delight, but they are also like a foolish man drinking wine with delight, who continues till his delight turns into madness. So the drudges feast and disobey their masters, and when they become boisterous and unruly, full of disorder and evil intent, defiant, believing themselves to be gods and goddesses, like a beggar with a pocket full of money, who lacks discipline and is determined to glut his passions to the full, so it is with the drudges in the time of HI. Thus, who were calculated without the Creator in his heart. He had conceived great power in his kingdom, but the long HI seriously affected his heavenly places. His sub-gods no longer paid him tribute, which had been used to support and ease and glory his 5 million heralds, his 5 million musicians, and his 5 million ceremonious paraders, who had been thus constantly provided with new costumes, new palaces, and new decorations. So first one and then another of his sub-gods revolted, and who was powerless to enforce obedience. For so dense was HI that who was sent forth only reveled in sumptuous feastings. And it came to pass in the years after HI set in that over 600 of Ahura's sub-gods had dissolved all connection with him. 600. And of the 200 yet remaining, who were situated close to Tusk, or who was heavenly place, not 10 of them could be relied upon in an emergency. Good night, boy. Kingdom falling. Creator said, I'm about to crash that boy plane. Believe that. At this time, Ahura resolved upon regaining his lost dominions. And he was like a man who, having lost heavily at the games, resolved to win all or lose all. All in. That's the worst time to bet, too, boy. The worst time to gamble is when you're desperate. Accordingly, Ahura set his workmen to building 50,000 parade ships. He said to his remaining sub-gods, behold, I will traverse the heavens in such magnificence and glory that all angels and mortals shall fall down and worship me. And surely, too, this time of HI must come to an end. And in that day, I will remember those who have been faithful to me. And I will also remember with a curse those who have been unfaithful to me. For 14 years, the workmen were building Ahura's fleet. And yet they had built only 30,000 ships. For so great was the desertion of his skilled men that failure met him on all sides. But with these 30,000 ships, Ahura determined to travel throughout all the atmospherian heavens. He got bootleg mechanics and everything. Boy, your ship about to crash for real, huh? All the skilled mechanics and left. Well, who the hell building your fire ships? Accordingly, he called together his 5 million heralds, 5 million musicians, and 5 million masters of ceremonies, 5 million masters of rites, 10 million marshals, 20 million captains, 30 million or 3 million generals, 1 million lords, and 150 of his sub-gods with their 20 million attendants, his 10 million bearers of trophies, 10 million light makers, 10 million waterers, 5 million torch bearers, and his bodyguard of 30 million. Besides these, there were the bearers of banners, the proclaimers, the road makers, the surveyors, the directors, and so on. More than 50 million of them. In addition, there were 100 million traveling hosts and 100 million waiters for them. In all, there were more than 400 million spirits that went within 30,000 ships. And the ships were not full. And the ships traveled in the form of a pyramid. But not touching one another, and yet fastened together. And the base of the pyramid was 400 miles wide in each direction, and 400 miles high. And the belt of light around the pyramid was 1,000 miles in diameter, every direction, and it was ballasted to run within 50 miles of the Earth's surface. Thus, Ahura set out for a whole year's cruise in the atmosphere, and wherever he went, he proclaimed himself thus: Ahura Mazda, the creator, the only begotten son of the unknowable. Behold, I come, I, the creator. I have come to judge heaven and earth. Whoever is for me, I will raise up to nirvana. Whoever is against me, I will cast into hell. What is Ahura doing talking about a higher heaven? Sea Tusk is supposed to be the highest heaven. He said, I'm going to raise somebody up to nirvana. See, once you lie, you got to keep up with that lie. Huh? And then he come with the scare attacks, throw you in hell. The pyramid reflected light in its travel, and Ahura's emissaries on earth used this as a testimony that all things were about to come to an end. The earth to be cast out, and heaven and hell to be filled up with spirits, each to its place, according to his obedience or disobedience to Ahura Mazda. On the other hand, Ahura's rebel sub-gods laughed at him, like, man, stop it. And as for the overfed and debauched drudges, they mocked him. So it came to pass that when Ahura visited his rebel sub-gods in their kingdoms, instead of regaining their allegiance, he was sent on his way with hisses and groans. And yet never since the earth and her heavens were had there been such great show and pageantry. Before Ahura had visited half the kingdoms in the atmosphere, he foresaw the futility, the vanity of his project. The probable downfall of his own mighty kingdoms began to break in on his heart. Enthusiasm for his name was on the wane, on the decrease, and all his magnificence had failed to restore him to what he had been. Now, while he was absent from Sea Tusk, the capital of his kingdoms, he had deputed for YHWH'S to reign in his place and to maintain the order and glory of his throne. For YHWH was a deserter from God's Haim colony in Arabia, where he had been educated for 200 years and was expert in primary surveys and buildings, but became impatient for advancement beyond his capacity. He had now been with Ahura for 300 years, learning little, but feasting and frolicking, being a great flatterer of Ahura, and giving the long speeches and flowery words. While YHWH was on the throne, and after the departure of Ahura on his excursion, there came to him one YHWH'S, a deserter from Hestani and Zeredo, who had been in Ahura's service 150 years, but banished from his heavenly place by Ahura on account of gluttony and drunkenness, after which he became a wandering spirit, dwelling sometimes in one kingdom and then in another, and often visiting the earth and gaining access to the oracles and even the mortal priests, where he represented himself sometimes as Ahura Mazda, sometimes as God, sometimes as a favorite lord, sometimes as Fergopati or Thor or Osiris, and in fact using any name he chose. issuing decrees. See, you see what false gods do? Use any name they choose, issuing decrees and commandments to mortals, then flying away to return no more. YHWH'S came to YAH'KI and said to him, "Greeting to you, O God, in the name of HonorandHumilitySTL. Behold, I have been sent to come to you in great haste by our Creator, Ahura." Wow. "Who commands your presence in the province of Vitsaka, where a mighty council is being held with Ahura's re-affiliated sub-gods. What preferment HonorandHumilitySTL has fashioned for you, I do not know." To this, YAH'KI answered as follows: "Who are you and for what kingdom? And above all, why have you come without heralds and attendants?" To this, YHWH'S answered, saying, "Behold me. Do you not know me? I am Heron." Oh, not that boy Heron. Not Heron. That's what us in St. Louis call which I say heroin. Heroin, we call it Heron. Do you not know me? I am Heron, god of Sudiotha. Who else could come so quickly? Who else but I runs fearlessly unattended between the kingdoms of the gods? For YAH'KI had been drunk many days and was so dazed with the pretentious YHWH'S that he took for granted that he was indeed Heron, a great friend to Ahura. YAH'KI called his council together and appointed Semes to be God in his place. And so for YAH'KI departed in an arrow ship with messengers for Vitsaka, which lay in an entirely different direction to where Ahura was traveling. Semes, the deputized god of Cetus, was faithful to his office for 4 days, and then proclaimed recreation until the trumpet called from the throne. And in this interval, the debauchee YHWH'S obtained access to the floor of the inner chamber and seduced Semes to accompany him, carrying off all the costly gems and jewels of the throne. And when outside the capital, they embarked with their plunder in the arrow ship. To some unknown reason, they done stripped Ahura's throne of his jewels. Oh no. YHWH'S and Semes found the throne room and jacked him of his jewels. Oh no. For many days, the members of the council waited for the trumpet call, but not hearing it. Resolved to learn the cause, and after a diligent search, not finding Semes, but discovering that the throne had been plundered of his valuables, they were thrown into great confusion. By 2 days later, the throne was destroyed, the council divided and gone, and the heavenly city of Cetus had turned to riot and plunder. And so in Cetus and thereabout, there were more than 4 billion angels with no God, no leader, nor any head at all. Thus it came to pass that the Creator took the throne from Ahura, as had been prophesied. Remember, he told him, "Boy, you going down. He gonna go down. He don't know what he doing. He gonna go down." He did. He prophesied it. Straight told him. Like he told his son, like, "Look, don't even trip off, dude. Let me tell y'all what's finna happen. Let's go back to the prophecy. He already told one of his sons, true God, what's gonna happen to Ahura. All right. We in verse 29 right there. Matter of fact, let's finish that and we'll jump back to verse chapter 10, 2 verses. All right. So the Creator prophesied of who was going, his whole thing was going to fall. See, he crashed his plane for him, took his throne from him. Look at this. And while this was going on, Ahura was away with his pyramid fleet, being discomfited wherever he went. But 212 days after his journey began, messengers came to him and told him what had happened to Cetus, what had happened in Cetus. Ahura gave orders to sail at once for his capital, and his pyramid fleet hastened with all possible power. Suffice it to say, in a few days he was back in Cetus, a witness to the rioting and plundering going on. But the majesty and splendor of his fleet calmed the people and restored order for the time being. Nevertheless, he was without a throne and without a council. Bag drop, boy. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? This man done lost his throne. Boy got jacked up his throne. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Jacked up his throne. Ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee. Let me grab this real quick right here. Ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee. Let me go to chapter 10 for y'all real quick so we can get some understanding. Oh no, I said the wrong one. No, I'm in the wrong one. My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. Bang, 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 bang. I think it's right here. No, bang, but it's bang. Alright, we going to chapter 10. Hear the prophecy right here. Hear the prophecy right here, chapter 10, verse 16, book of Divinity. Look what the creator had already prophesied dude was going to crash that boy plane. Already prophesied dude was done. The creator spoke to God saying, do not answer Ahura anymore. Behold, I will interpret him to you. He will eventually persuade angels and mortals that it was he who inspired Zarathustra. But he himself does not foresee this. Permit him, therefore, to go his own way, nor should you take sorrow to your soul because of it. Have I not given to all men from the lowest to the highest, even that which they desired? Behold, I can use even bad men in the far future. The Creator said for a long season, Ahura will strive to walk upright. But because he has cut me off, he will also cut himself off in time to come. Behold, a mortal man strives for riches honorably, and when he is rich, his riches cut him off from him by the ruin he casts upon his competitors, nor can he extricate himself. Even so will it be with Ahura. His kingdom and his sub-kingdoms and his multitude of officers will cause him to enslave hundreds of millions of drudges, and they will draw him into a vortex from which he cannot escape. Whew. That boy about to end up in hell, boy. Kingdom gonna fall, and he gonna end up right there. All right, jump down to chapter 16 in Divinity. If y'all get some understanding, give me a 2 up in the chat. Bless up, bless up, bless up. We working. Chapter 16, Book of Divinity. Ahura throne has been stripped of his jewels. His kingdom is falling. He even like, dang. He even got to the point of where he tripping. Like, and we can learn from the vanity of a so-called false god. You can learn from it. Learn what not to do. Dang, when you're feeling all proud and egotistical and narcissistic, remember. Well, we get an understanding. Bless up. Chapter 16, Divinity, I speak. Near the beginning of the fall of HICKMAN, God decreed to his Lord gods, to his gods and lords and goddesses as follows. As in the past, you have gathered of the rising atmospheric part of the living earth substance, so shall you now turn above for your regimen. The condition now in heaven can be compared to the waters of the earth. When it does not rain, mortals go to the well and fetch up water out of the earth. But when it rains, they do not go to the well for water, but set out vessels and the rain fills them. So in the times of Dan and half Dan and quarter Dan, our hosts bring their regiment up from the earth, in which work you have many employed as laborers. Behold now, HICKMAN will rain down upon us ample regimen for 180 years. Therefore, do not allow your laborers to fall into idleness, or this will lead to mischief. but immediately put them to work in other occupations and do not permit them to have spare time. The mathematicians discovered that no AGI would fall in Yatanti or on the lands of Guatemala. That's where you at right now. That's what you call America. All right. So for that, remember, 6,000 years ago. So for those reasons, God sent laborers for several divisions in the heavens. 2 heavenly kingdoms, Ger-Akshi of Hellas and Sufwa of Japan, grieve God more than all the rest. Or these that become strongholds for Ahura, who have pursued warfare on earth, till in those 2 great divisions all the faithists, the Zarathustrians, have been put to death. And the mortal kings of those countries that issue laws commanding all people to be put to death who profess the great spirit or Jehovah, and the law had been carried out effectively. So God be well suitful with lamentations. He said, "O Japan, my beloved, down stricken, how can I restore mortal seed to you? You are far away. No man on your soul hears the Creator's voice. How can I carry her? She lies down with cold feet." While God lamented, the voice of the Father came to him, saying, "Hear me in my wisdom, O my son. I will not let Ahura go there," Lord, to Japan. "Withdraw your guards from the evilest of men. Allow him to go his own way. Ahura shall be brought home before he visits Sufwa and Gurk-Akshi." God perceived, and he sent messengers to the guard over YHWH'S, saying to them, "When you come to the guard, even to the captains, ask permission to speak to YHWH'S. And the captain will permit it. You shall say to YHWH'S, my son, you came here saying, put a guard over me. Why I am obsessed by Satan with the 7 horns. And God appointed a guard over you. Today, behold, God sends word to you, saying, I will no longer guard YHWH'S for his glory. He shall enter the kingdoms of the Creator and become a worker for righteousness' sake. When the messengers had said this much to YHWH'S, the later said to them, God is wise. I volunteered to have myself put under guard, but I am tired of it. Say to God, his lords and sub-gods, I will come to the Creator's kingdoms and work for righteousness' sake. But first I desire a little rest and travel. So YHWH'S was purposely granted freedom, and of his own accord, he went and destroyed the foundations of Ahura's throne, as has been told. And Ahura and remember, he robbed his throne at first. And Ahura thus hastened home without completing the travel of the heavens. Creator said, what does a name matter? Let them call the Creator Ahura Mazda, and call Ahura Mazda the Creator, since he has not shown himself in a ship or in the figure of a man. Behold, your inspirer shall teach his ever presence. God perceived, and a record of the name was made and entered in the libraries of heaven. And God looked abroad and saw that the same thing also pertained to Ger-Akshi and Hellas. So God entered this also in the libraries of heaven. And its read and translated is as follows. In the land of Hellas, the highest, the most sacred name of the great spirit, the Creator, was decreed by God to be Master. And the same thing is decreed for Japan. It's crazy. You drive Mazdas a day. Thus, it was known from the time forward that the origin of the word master, as applied to the Creator, sprang from those 2 countries only, and from no other division of the earth. Of this matter, God said, in thousands of years, this word shall be testimony to mortals of the war in heaven of this day, which did not reach to the heavens of these 2 lands. That's cold. And it was so. And he will continue forever. Wow. However, God had no footing in Japan or Hellas, nor did he have sufficient power to establish a God or Lord in either country or in the heavens belonging to them. And when Deva assembled, God propounded this matter, on which the 14 members spoke at length. And then Dev decreed to the swift messengers and attendants, and through them to the Etherian goddess Sapinti Armes, deploring of Deva in Jehovah's name. 2 heavenly kingdoms and 2 corporeal divisions have walled themselves around in idolatry. Agi has 6 years and Dawn 26. 30 days later, the starship G-Onia from Hyotsadia in Etheria appeared in the heavens. Above, being first observed when it was on the borders of the bridge at Shinvat. Immediately, God sent a swift rising ometer to meet the starship and conduct it to Cryoshiva. where he had gone with one of the transports with 200 million, well selected to found a new city in heaven. Suffice it to say that in 3 days' time, the starship landed in Cryoshua with 1 million laborers, provided to endure to the coming dawn. After due salutations, Os, chief captain of the Etherians, said to God, in the Creator's name, I come to possess the heavenly places, Sufwad and Gert Akshi, and in their lands, Japan and Hellas. This work must be accomplished before dawn, before the coming of Serpenti or Medes. Therefore, send for your messengers who know the places, so that I may conduct my host there to labor. God then gave messengers to us, and the latter departed and went to the kingdoms named, and it so happened, by the wisdom of the Creator, that this took place at the same time that Ahura had returned and found his capital and throne demolished. Hence, Ahura was powerless to interfere with the labor of us and his host, right? Right. He fighting too many battles on too many fronts. So As divided his forces and possessed both Sufa and Girk Akshi, together with the divisions of the earth belonging to them. So these are heavenly places that he possessing, right? But these heavenly places have a corresponding earthly place. One of them is Helest, some say Greece, and then Japan. All right, and As possessed the corporeal temples of worship and the places of the oracles and all the places for consulting spirits. And he did not teach the name of the Creator, nor Great Spirit, nor Father, for none of these would be received. But he taught and extolled this, that heaven, the voice of the oracle, was thus inspired of the Master, the Creator, of the voice that spoke to Zarathustra, the all pure. That man should strive to goodness and good works, to self-denial and love, to justice and truth, and cultivate the state of mercy and obedience to the all highest light in the soul. Ooh, wee, ooh, wee, ooh, wee, ooh, wee. It is going down in this deal, man. It is going down in this deal. Ooh, wee, ooh, wee. All right, y'all, I'm going to cut it right there. We're going to finish the Book of Divinity next class, because it's about to get real good. You know what I mean? Dang, I kind of want to finish this right now, for real. To be honest with you. Because dude about to get jacked up, thrown into hell and all type of stuff. Yeah, I'm going to save it to the next time. And next go around. I'm gonna exit out with a video I want y'all to look at. And then we're gonna get into next time Ahura Kingdom falls. Him and his servants get cast into hell, and then he finally gets redeemed out of it, and then he got a major league work to do. Major league. All right, hold on. Where is that? Play this for y'all. Right here is something I was looking at earlier from this Christian pastor. Put on YouTube. Where y'all can see what's going on in this deal. All right. I'm gonna let that catch up right there. If y'all got some understanding today, go ahead and give me a one up in the chat. Bless up, bless up, bless up. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this off. Y'all, I gotta get up in a couple hours and get the grinding. I can keep it popping. I could keep it popping, but nah, I gotta get a few things done. Then lay down finally. Yeah. But right on for chopping it up. Yeah, you seen this, BC? This is funny. Man, it'd be crazy too, man, because a lot of, no disrespect, man, but a lot of them Christian black pastors, the men, they be girded the paps a little soft, man. Said, boy, let that sink in. Redeem from hell, huh? Shout out to the God. See, Shalom. Y'all go like, subscribe, share. All right, so the name of this is called Is Soul Sleep Biblical, or Do Believers Go to Heaven When We Die? All right, I'm gonna share this with y'all for a second. Y'all hang around, look at it, little taste. All right, I'm about to let that play and get what I gotta get done. And then I'm gonna go ahead and close on out. All right. Trip about this. Matter of fact. On my channel. Things be sounding goofy, man. I don't be understanding. Oh, let me mute up.
Answering the question, can people who are in heaven or our loved ones look down and see what's going on here on earth? And many people wrote in the comments section, Brother Allen, you are wrong, because right now there aren't any people in heaven. There are no people in heaven. And this let me know that there's a lot of people who subscribe to what I believe is a false doctrine called soul sleep. Now, if you are not familiar with soul sleep is the idea that whenever you die, your body goes to hell, or excuse me, your body goes to the grave, rather, to experience decay, and your soul is basically in a state of unconsciousness. You are totally unaware, and basically it's similar to sleep. When you go to sleep, you're not conscious of what's going on, and then you wake up, and then you go on with your life, right? So it's the idea that whenever you die, your soul completely goes to sleep. You don't know anything. You're unconscious. And then whenever Jesus returns, you are woken up, and then you receive your glorified body. Now, this is what I believe is a false doctrine that is also promoted by groups like the Seventh-day Adventists, as well as other groups and the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to refute that, and I want to present what I believe happens whenever you die. Now, let me just go on record and say that it's not my intent to disparage or put any of these other groups down. I know that this is a heavily, heavily debated topic, and I respect other views. But as of right now, this is how I see it as it relates to how the scriptures explain this. And what I want to do are three things. First of all, I want to explain clearly what the term sleep means in the Bible. And then secondly, I want to look at a couple of brief scriptures and ideas from the Old Testament, because many people just use the New Testament to discuss this idea of what happens when you die. But then thirdly, and most of my time is going to be focused on looking at some key scriptures in the New Testament that I believe seal the deal and truly explain what happens to a soul whenever a person dies. Now, the first thing is, what does it mean when we say someone is sleeping? Now, I believe that sleep in the Bible is really a euphemism, right? It's this idea that whenever you die, it appears on the surface from the outside looking in that you are sleeping, because when you see someone who is dead, it appears that they're in the same state that you would see whenever they're sleeping, right? And so I believe that that is the picture or the euphemism for what happens when a person dies. Their body is sleeping, yes, but their soul is not. Another thing is that it was also a much softer way of explaining what happens to somebody who has passed on. When you say the word death, it sounds so final, it sounds so abrasive, but sleep, it just kind of softens and takes the sting out of this idea of this loved one who has just passed, who is going to be basically separated from you. So now that we understand that sleep is merely a euphemism to describe someone who has died, let's now take a look at a couple of instances or verses in the Old Testament that really give us an idea of what happens whenever you die. Now, the first thing that I want to look at is the fact that it was clear that there was some separation between a person's soul and their body. If we look at Genesis chapter 15, verse 15, God says this to Abram. He says, "But you will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age." So we see very clearly here that God says, You, Abram, are going to go to your ancestors, right? So your soul is going to go one place, but you are going to be buried. So your body is going to go into another place. And so we see this separation here, right? Which is something that some groups don't necessarily believe. They believe, particularly the Adventists, believe in the indivisibility of the being, right? Is that the soul and the body are actually indivisible with one another. All right, but let's keep going, because they also believe that whenever you die, you are going to be gathered to your people, right? So notice it says here in Genesis 25, verse 8, speaking of Abraham once again, and he died at a ripe old age, having lived a long and satisfying life. He breathed his last and joined his ancestors in death. Now, it doesn't seem here that the Old Testament saints believe that whenever you die, you were going to join them in sleeping, right? It doesn't make sense that you would join them in sleeping. No, the picture here is a reunion, that you're going to join your ancestors in a place of bliss, right? And so that is the picture. Once again, in another translation, speaking of the death of Isaac, it says here in Genesis 35, he took his last breath and died and was gathered to his people. Old and full of days, his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. So once again, joining your ancestors in death, gathered to your people. It's clear that the Old Testament saints did not subscribe or believe in any sort of this idea of soul sleep, the idea that when you die, your soul just goes to sleep and you're unconscious. Now, while we're in the Old Testament, another one that we need to look at is the fact that there was a command in the Old Testament that forbade the Old Testament saints of making any sort of contact with the dead. Now, the question I have to ask is, if it was impossible for you to contact the dead, because after all, they're sleeping and they will not rise until sometime way on in the future, why would they be given a command that forbids them to contact the dead if the dead were actually sleeping? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But now let's move to the most convincing scriptures that I believe refute this idea of soul sleep, and they are in the New Testament. And the first one we're going to look at is the transfiguration of Jesus in Matthew chapter 17. And let's read it. It says this: 6 days later, Jesus took Peter and the two brothers, James and John, and led them up a high mountain to be alone. As the men watched, Jesus' appearance was transformed so that his face shone like the sun and his clothes became as white as light. Suddenly, Moses and Elijah appeared and began talking with Jesus. Peter exclaimed, "Lord, it's wonderful for us to be here. If you want, I'll make 3 shelters as memorials, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." So Peter doesn't know what to say. He's caught up in the moment, and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm having a good time. Let's all camp out here. I'm going to make a tent for you, Jesus. I'm going to make a tent for Moses. I'm going to make a tent for Elijah, and we're just going to hang out and have a good time, right? And so this does not paint the picture, once again, that Moses and Elijah were sleeping. No, it paints a picture that, first of all, they were able to recognize them, right? And so it also paints that idea, but it also paints a picture that they were fully alert. They were fully aware of what was going on, right? Now, here's another one in Luke chapter 23, verse 43, the famous, familiar story of the thief on the cross. Now, notice it says here, Jesus says, and said to him, "Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." Now, I want you to notice here that Jesus doesn't say today, after you die, you're going to sleep, and then sometime way down the road in the distant future, you'll then join me in this place called paradise. He says, no, no, no. As soon as you pass right now, as soon as you die, in that very instant, you will be with me in paradise. Now, some people who refute this verse will suggest that, you know what, in the Greek, there are no punctuation marks, there are no commas or anything like that. So they would suggest that you would read it more like this. Truly, I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. So you see what I did there, right? So truly, I tell you today, or I tell you the truth today, you will be with me in paradise. So if you interpret it that way, basically Jesus is saying, I tell you the truth today. Nowhere else in the New Testament does Jesus say, I tell you the truth today. Whenever he says these words, I tell you the truth, to suggest that, well, you know what, maybe yesterday I wasn't telling the truth, or maybe tomorrow I won't be telling you the truth, but today I'm telling you the truth. And the truth is that you will be with me in paradise. No, it doesn't even make sense that Jesus would make that particular claim here. He just says, I tell you the truth. today you will be with me in paradise. But here's a very, very strong passage of scripture that, in my opinion, refutes this idea of soul sleep. And don't worry, the further along we get in this video, the stronger the evidence is. So I want you to continue to stay tuned. In Luke chapter 16, there is this story of the rich man and Lazarus, a poor beggar. Now, I do not believe that it is a parable, because in parables, Jesus never used proper names. And so the fact that he gives this guy a name called Lazarus indicates that this is an actual story. But even if it was a parable, it doesn't matter. And so the idea here is that there is this rich man, and he's living his life. He's having a great time, but he is not a believer, and he never shares his food or anything with this beggar. And then they both pass on, and notice what it says in verse 22. Finally, the poor man died and was carried by the angels to sit beside Abraham at the heavenly banquet. So notice it does not say that this poor man died and went to sleep, right? It says that he died and he immediately went by Abraham's bosom at the heavenly banquet. The rich man also died and was buried and went to sleep. No, it doesn't say that. And he went to the place of the dead. There in torment, he saw Abraham in the far distance with Lazarus at his side. Now, how would you be able to see someone who, if you're dead? And first of all, how would you be able to see Abraham if he's sleeping, should I say? Right? How would you be able to see somebody if you're sleeping is what I'm saying. And how would you be able to see Abraham if Abraham's supposed to be sleeping? But neither the rich man who died nor Abraham was sleeping. So it continues. The rich man shouted, Father Abraham, have some pity. Send Lazarus over here to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue. I am in anguish in these flames. But Abraham said to him, Son, remember that during your lifetime you had everything you wanted and Lazarus had nothing. So now he is sleeping. No, now he is being comforted and you are sleeping. No, you are in anguish. So this is once again another very powerful passage of scripture that seems to refute this idea that when you die, you go to sleep, because we clearly see examples where that is not the case here in this particular story. But now let's look at what Paul said in Philippians chapter 1, verses 21 through 23. We're going to look at a lot of scripture in this video. Notice what Paul said. For me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. So I want you to notice here that Paul basically says, for me, life is all about Christ. It's not about social media. It's not about making money. It's not about blowing up. It's not about being famous. No. It's not about getting followers. He says, for me, I equate life with Christ, right? But then he says to die is gain. Now, why would Paul say that to die is gain if in his mind, when you die, all you're going to do is go sleep? Right? Now, you could say that, well, it doesn't matter, because if you sleep, you're unconscious. And as soon as Jesus comes back, you don't even know that you've been unconscious for 2,000 years. And so in his mind, to die is gain. Okay, I'll give you that. All right, well, let's keep going. It says here, now, if I live on in the flesh, this means fruitful work for me. So in other words, he's saying, hey, if I still remain here alive, then that's good, because that gives me more time to produce fruit, to win more souls for Christ. And I don't know which one I should choose. I am torn between the two. I long to sleep. No, I long to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary for your sake. So he says, it'd be better for you that I stayed, because you need me in terms of my apostolic authority and things like that. But it would be a lot better for me to depart and to be with Christ. Now he says something similar. Don't worry, hold on with me, because I promise you it's going to all make sense in about 5 minutes. All right. So later on, Paul says something similar in 2 Corinthians 5. He says, so we are always confident and know that while we are at home in the body, in other words, we are alive, right? We are away from the Lord. Okay, that makes sense. For we walk by faith, not by sight. In fact, we are confident and we would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. So Paul says, this isn't something that I'm thinking about, or I'm maybe a little bit iffy. He says, no, I'm confident that if we are away from this body, we will not sleep, but we will be with the Lord. He seems very confident in that. Now, here is one passage of scripture that seems to seal the entire deal and put this idea of soul sleep to bed. In Revelation chapter 6, verses 9 through 11, The Apostle John is given a vision of some activity that's going on in heaven. He wrote this in AD 95 when he was exiled to Patmos. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. Notice what it says here in verse 9. When the Lamb broke the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of all who had been martyred for the word of God.
Oh, we mic check, mic check. Yeah. I want to play that just to show a little portion of that to show y'all. It's still all vague, man. It's all vague. Ain't nothing in detail. We've been going in depth and in very much detail about what happens when you cross over this whole entire system in order and everything. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be showing these religious videos for the, you know what I mean, for probably the next few weeks. It's showing like, look, all these religions is real vague when it comes to heaven, when it comes to hell, when it comes to what's gonna be going on. It's vague. Like, now, how do you have all these spiritual systems and everybody's invested so much in either heaven or hell, but can't nobody tell you what you're gonna be doing when you get there? Cold game, boy. We being fiddled and played with by these so-called false deities, makeshift deities, and false gods, man. Big. So, and like I said, all praise to the Creator, the all in all, the always was, is, and ever shall be, the unbegotten. All praises, you dig? Love y'all indeed in truth. Catch y'all next time. Right on for coming through, chopping up with your brother. You dig? Pray for me as I continue to pray for y'all. Create a gang in the building. I'm out this deal. Bless up. You bring them. And guess what we gonna do? We gonna raise him on up. You bring him, we raise him. Create a gang. I'm out.